All right. I think we're here. Show. Yeah, let's do that. What's going on, everybody? This is Aaron from Phoenix E.O.D. Thanks for coming out tonight on a Saturday. What the hell? What just happened? What just happened? Eric, I need you. Papa Smurf, I need you. I see what's okay. So anyway, I think I got it figured out. We're trying to get it all hammered out. This is only my fourth go around. How do I sound? Everybody can hear me. Camera's good. Everything's good. All right. Anyway, thanks for coming out on a Wednesday night. I know it's a school night for a lot of you kids, so appreciate you guys doing it. We have a very special lady backstage waiting to come out and share her insight into the industry. Humberto, good to see you. As always, you were the first to arrive. Mark, good to see you. Papa Smurf, I think I saw Keith out there. Tim from Shine Your Light Detailing, always good to see you. I heard you just dropped a really awesome video. When this is over, I encourage everybody to run over to his channel and check it out. Not that it's self-serving or anything, but he does do excellent work. And I mean, seeing is believing. So anyway, this is the fourth edition of the Curmudgeon's Corner. We try to focus in on small businesses, the detailing industry in particular, but every once in a while we will branch out into just the small business world. Everybody's experience is different. We try to share a lot of information that encourages people to break out on their own, to do their thing, and just really embrace what life is all about, and that is you doing you. So again, thanks for coming out, and we're going to wait a few more minutes to get everybody in here that's going to arrive on time, and then we'll introduce this special young lady and really get to know the lady behind her camera. So anyway, there's something on your shoulder. What is on my shoulder, Eric? Oh, wait, that's my head. Ha, ha, ha. Rob from Ontario, Canada. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so I don't know. How's everybody doing tonight? Anything happening in the world? I stopped watching television, obviously. So anyway, all right. Well, I'm not really good at this whole thing like Papa Smurf is. He can talk one-on-one with you guys for about 5 minutes to an hour. But that's not really my bag. I'm more interested in getting to the meat and potatoes, and I want to be respectful of Chelsea's time. So without much further ado, I'm going to bring her up and let's get to know her.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Chelsea. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Good. How are you, friend?
Good. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. If I remember correctly, you had soccer practice tonight with a youngin'.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
did.
correct?
Yeah.
Good.
I literally got home and I think they're getting showers upstairs. I don't know if you hear yelling in the background. Be understanding that my husband's trying to rally two kids who drag their feet awful at bedtime. So
well, we
I'm like checking out. I was like, I'm so sorry. I have to be downstairs for this podcast.
It's work. It's work. I have to go.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I as always, I hope everybody brought their apple juice to the game. Mine even says apple juice, so that it's apple juice and nothing else but apple juice. Chelsea, I understand that you once in a while enjoy a good glass of apple juice. Is that correct?
I mean, by apple juice, do you mean peach tea? Then yeah, totally. I'm not a big drinker. My husband is really big into craft beer, and I pretty much will taste test everything he drinks and try to rate it as best as I can. He's on what's the app? The Untapped app. I think he's an influencer on that app.
Wow, I need to hang out with your husband a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, and he's drank so many thousands of types of beer that I can't even buy him beer anymore because I'm like, I don't know. Do I have to look at your rating system to see if you liked it or not? So he's like, I'm into beer, how you're into detailing. I'm like, it's a little different.
It's a little different. I think yours brings in versus his bringing out.
He literally just pisses it out like 30 minutes later.
There you go. Yeah, they say coffee and beer, you rent it. So
yeah, totally.
So anyway, how long? I've known you for some time now. It's got to be at least 6 years. Does that
We
sound
go.
about accurate?
I've been detailing. Well, I wouldn't. I mean, I still struggle to say the word professionally, but I've been detailing as a
Like
profession. So
like
I guess
some other
as
people in the audience
yeah, yeah.
struggle to use that word, but all right.
It is my profession, so I guess professionally.
Yeah.
I've been doing that since my daughter was 2 and she is 8. So
So 6 years. Yeah.
that's over 6 years.
Yeah.
She'll be 9 coming up. That's crazy. But yeah, I've been doing it, and I think you and I connected. Was I at my old house or were we here at this house?
I think you were still there at that house. I think, yeah, the first time that I visited you was there. So,
Okay. So we've been at this house for 3 years, so probably 4 or
oh,
5 years.
okay. All right. Yeah.
So
Well, that's
so we go way
fantastic.
back.
We do, we
We
do,
go way back.
and I got to be honest. I've really enjoyed getting to know you,
Same.
and it's really been. I learned a lot. You know, one of the things that stands out about you to me is you are literally the who's who in the detailing world. You know everybody, and you're
Oh,
every time I see
please.
you, you're like, "Hey, did you talk to this person? Did you talk to that person? Oh, this person does this, and this person does," and I'm just like, I wish that I knew a fraction of the people that you know. I mean, you really have.
No is a very loose term. I am a female, and so I am always curious, and so I'm always like, "Who's this person?" Like, we're just gonna, like, not Facebook stalk them, but I it can be very isolating detailing when you especially if you own a home business. Like, it feels like you're an island some days, and I have thrown myself life support by trying to force myself to connect with different people online. It makes me feel not alone. It makes me feel like I'm a part of this community. And I mean, I just saw a statistic. There's like over 63,000 detailers in the US alone.
Wow.
And that's probably a very low number because there's a lot of us, home garage people that maybe don't even make it on the map.
Sure.
um and there's a lot of us, but we feel like we're competing against our neighbor. So we like keep things close to our chests. And um I want to broaden the scope and develop a sense of community between detailers, because it doesn't need to be cutthroat, and it can be supportive and fun and engaging, and we can all learn from one another. And so that's I love learning from other people because I will never claim to know everything there is to know about detailing.
Sure. Yeah, it's
So
one of the first things that I was told was that when it came to sales in the detailing industry, no two detailers detail the same way. So, as a salesman of chemicals at my other job, my old job, you had to be um, knowledgeable enough to be able to kind of find out how they detailed and what they liked and what they didn't like, and then kind of adjust accordingly to their styles. um but Yeah, I think that's something that you've said a lot. It was the your desire to really be what was it, supportive versus judgmental.
mhm,
And I appreciated that about that. And Brian, it's funny. Brian from Apex Auto Detailing, he's recently got into he's had his own chemical line for a while. It used to
mhm.
be art. I think it was supplied by Art to Shine. now
Partition.
now he's gone rogue. um and when I started Phoenix, one of those things, he was like, "Whatever you do, I will put on my website, and I will help you in any way, shape, or form that I can." And I said, "Well, you're selling your own chemicals and products. Why would you do that?" And he was like, "There's plenty for everyone.
Mhm.
There's plenty for everyone.
It
So let me
Yeah,
help you."
when you start looking at the statistics of how many vehicles there are on the road in the US alone, and the billions that there are, and that they are like, this isn't a one and done type of service that we offer. It's a
Right.
could be monthly, could be however often. So there's more than enough room for everyone to be able to support one another. And I mean, I think when I finally got that in my head, it stopped feeling so scary and so competitive. And it just really, I was able to kind of grow into my space, into my market, and really just feel comfortable with the skill set and the customer base that I could cater to. Because, there's going to be that customer that's looking for a discount deal. There's going to be that customer that's looking for a luxury high end deal. And there's going to be that person in the middle, that values quality, but maybe they are mindful of prices and stuff. And so, the thing that annoys me the most sometimes is when detailers go on and feel like they need to get another detailer's approval for their prices and their packages, and they're questioning themselves, and I'm like, you're asking someone who doesn't even know your market, who doesn't know like what skill set you have, like, and that's where it takes time to kind of figure those things out, but you gotta do some research, look at your local competition and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm
No,
rambling.
you're
So
not. Actually, I want to circle back to a couple of things that you said. But first, before we get too far into those weeds, um, one of the things that I like to do on this channel is have the audience get to know you,
mhm.
from outside of just you doing detailing. And so basically, the question, a little bit about yourself. It's safe to say that because of your handles on social media, it's safe to say that you are from Lancaster. Is that correct? Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Yep.
Lancaster. All right.
You got to say it the German way, Lancaster. Like
Lancaster.
I always feel like I'm clicking my heels together when I say it.
Jawohl, Fräulein.
Das ist gut.
That's good. Everything all the German that I've ever learned, I learned from Indiana Jones. Guten Tag, Fräulein. So anyway.
Nichts sprechen Sie Deutsch. Nichts sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Right? Yeah. Avita Zane and Castle Wolfenstein. Ava Avita Zane, I think, was Hitler's last words to his wife, apparently, according to Castle Wolfenstein. Anyway,
we lived in Italy for like a year, and we had layovers in Germany all the time. And I am tall and German looking, and my family is all Italian by genes and dark skin and black hair. My sister used to joke that I was always adopted, and I always felt like I was at home in Germany, but people would come up to me and just start speaking German, and I literally had to learn how to say like "Nichts sprechen Sie Deutsch." Like,
right.
I don't know German. It was awful, but I say it really good, like convincing.
And clearly you're married and you have children.
Yes.
How's that going? Everything good in the home front? Kids are healthy and happy?
We are happy, healthy. The kids drive me nuts some days because we're in the preteen stage with my son, and so he's very. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's
Yeah.
fun when they start having opinions and think they know everything, and
That's not bad.
all they want to do is play Fortnite
Why?
and Farming
Why?
Simulator. And
Why?
he wants a
Why? Why?
YouTube channel to record himself playing video games and thinks he's going to be a YouTube influencer. And I'm like, I mean, this is weird, but no,
That's how Apex got his start. You know that, right?
Gaming.
His son wanted to stream YouTube stuff, and he was intimidated by it. And Brian was like, "I will show you how to do it. It's not that hard." And a star was born. So
Somehow, my son doesn't even have a PC. He has just like our TV and PS4, and somehow he has learned how to record clips and upload it. And when he gets like 100 views on a video, he thinks he's going viral and he freaks out. And it is, I totally get it. But then I'm like, hey, the video mom just put up, that's like, I just put it up like a couple hours ago, has over 1,000 views. Like, is that like cool to you? He's like, no. I'm like, come on, kid. Like, I can't even get cool grades with it. It's awful. But I'm trying to like look up his username because he actually was like, Mom, can you do a shout out to my channel? I was like, I will try. It's Fireball Gamer is his handle if anyone wants to follow my
Fireball, what?
Fireball Gamer. It's
Put
at
it up.
Fireball Gamer.
Type it into the comment section, and then I'll highlight
Where's
it.
the comment section? Where do I do that?
Down at the bottom.
Is that at the very? Oh, I see all the comments coming in, but how do I type something?
At the very bottom, it say post a comment.
My screen is not showing me that, but I'll do it.
Or you can do it on the YouTube channel. Either way, it'll work.
Okay, but yeah, he was totally like, give me a shout out. So
there you go.
Fireball he's gonna ever watch this, but at least I'm being true to my word.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. All right, so
thanks,
you said that you've been detailing for 6 years. Is that correct?
As a profession, yeah, I've been detailing before that.
Okay.
I kind of did it as a teenager, for people in my church, and for my family and things like that. And then when I became a young mom, I had babies. I was just kind of doing it on the side here and there for family and friends. And my neighbor approached me and was just like, "You're really good at this." And he's like, "You should put your information on the Nextdoor app." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." He's like, "It's a community like online bulletin board." And I very quickly threw together some prices and thinking through like what a full detail would cost. It was like $75 to start. And I think I spent, gosh, 8 hours on that first detail. It had to be perfect, and I had, like, crap tools and, like, we're talking Turtle Wax and Armor All and Meguiar's and all of the, I mean, all of the cheesy pictures that you see from people when they're like, "I just started out," and everyone goes on and judges them and is like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this professionally." That was me. I had,
Okay.
like, a little
Well,
Turtle Wax buffer and
let's
cleaning
dive.
wax.
I want to dive into that just a little bit more. All right. So, what motivated you to even want to detail? Like before you even like before the church thing, what motivated you to want to be a detail or to even
I've
do a detail?
I've always been, like, like, heavily gratified with the before and afters. Like, I love watching YouTube channels of people mowing grass because I like seeing the disaster be transformed into a work of art. Um, I always was the rare girl that really enjoyed taking care of her own car and it being, like, spotless and meticulous. So for me, it was just relaxing, it was therapeutic, it was my chore as a child growing up to take care of our cars. My dad was a Marine and taught me to get down and look up and really ingrained in me an eye for detail. And he gave me the good basics. And then when I was working full time at Lancaster Bible College, I was the housekeeping supervisor. That was one of my jobs. And I had to learn about chemicals. I had to learn about polishing big floors with giant, polishers and learn about carpet cleaning techniques. And so I became very passionate about that because it was my job. I had to train and supervise over 20 to 30 employees and turn over buildings. And that part was extremely satisfying to take something that, again, was a disaster for college students and make it nice and beautiful. So that I feel like it just kind of kept snowballing and taking similar passions with my car and the knowledge that I had with interiors and cleaning and things like that, just kind of naturally propelled me into this industry, I think. And because it was something that I could do from home, there really was low startup to it. Um, yeah, and honestly, there was so much information available on YouTube. It just, I kept, like, I became obsessed with it, and it was exciting, and it became a big old passion of mine. And, then I had invested so much money in like, products and trying out new things because we all do that on YouTube. When someone recommends it, we're like, "Well, I gotta go out and try it."
Hmm.
I had so much product that I almost had to justify it by starting a YouTube channel to demonstrate those products. So, I mean, it was just like the passion fed the addiction, and then the addiction created another I just had to keep feeding it, and then here we
Sure.
are,
Yeah,
3 years later with the YouTube channel continuing to buy more products and just needing to buy more storage to house it all, so
that's
you're
fantastic.
welcome.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, I guess checking off those boxes, one, two, three. Something on our last encounter that when we just started, just kind of riffing. Um, you had mentioned some things about um, the idea that you were a full time mom and that you had a family and you're a wife and being able to balance um, both sides, the professional and the personal life,
Mhm,
um, and that this industry kind of had a real appeal to you for that because you had the ability to kind of thread the needle.
mhm, mhm,
You can you get into that a little bit more about basically? Well, I guess it's a twofold question because one, we deal with the fact that you are a woman in a predominantly male industry,
mhm,
and that you're also a mom
mhm,
um, that is really cranking out professional level high quality details. I mean, I've seen them, and we posted them, and they're you put out amazing work. So
Thank
how do
you.
you balance all of that?
It's hard. And I'm not going to say that it's not a struggle. I've been married for 14 years come May 30th, and I have a very, very supportive husband. Thank you. And it's hard because he's 8 years older than me. He's not a huge fan of technology. I have a job that is pretty much done on technology, from just the detailing side of it, having to do marketing, Facebook, things like that, engage with customers on my website. Then I'm a car supplies warehouse affiliate manager. All of those relationships are long distance, have to kind of engage through that format. And then the YouTube channel, and that the YouTube channel, as it continues to grow, which is one of the most mind-boggling, but really just I'm grateful for the growth that has happened. But we're close to 20,000 subscribers, um, and I have a
Wow.
phenomenal community of supporters on my channel that engage with every video, ask questions. I try to respond and answer those questions to some level. I can't get to every single one because I don't
Sure.
even get the notifications nowadays. There's hundreds, but um, it's time that I'm taking away from my family to engage with, be honest, people I've never really met. And so sometimes
Sure.
that's hard for my husband to see because he's like, you want to talk to these strangers more than me. And I'm like, it's not that. Like,
Yeah,
these are,
I actually encounter the exact same thing with my wife, where it's kind of
yeah,
like
it's hard.
it is hard because I
I
think
wanna honor that, but at the same time, like, it's a business that you have to manage, and there's algorithms that you have to take into consideration, and I took a month off during December to spend time with my family for Christmas and to just be present, and the algorithm for my channel was so messed up after that. I lost so much momentum and am still struggling to get that momentum back, even though the channel has still seen growth.
sure,
When you have that viewership and consistency, and it's just frustrating because I'm like, it feels like a monster that you have to constantly feed, and it constantly wants to take more from you. And as a mom, and a wife, they're my first priority. And there are times that I have to remind myself, like, slow down. Like, the business, the detailing side of it and the YouTube side of it, it wants to just go. It wants to pedal to the floor, just take it. And there are times that they ground me. They kind of are the brakes. And if I was single, if I didn't have kids, I think it would be a whole different look for me as far as
sure,
within this industry. Um, but at the same time, like, I'm thankful that this industry has provided me the ability to go to soccer practice, to unplug, to engage, and be present with my family because I technically can work 2 to 3 days a week. And there are some weeks that I make more than my husband, who works a 40-hour job and owns his own business. And
right,
then I take those other 2 days and I do YouTube videos and I, handle CSW emails and phone calls and things like that. And it's been difficult to manage that because I have an addictive personality, and when I'm passionate about something, I give 1,000% of myself. Um, and I have to remind myself, like, I need to I need to focus on that. So I'm not going to say it doesn't create its problems for me. And there are times that I have to be reminded, and I fight it because I'm like, I want to see where this could go, because anytime you wanna do something in social media, I feel like it's a gamble. You don't know if
sure,
it's gonna pay off. I've been doing the YouTube thing for 3 years, and there are times that I feel like it should have been further along than where it's at now, not to undermine where I'm at. But you see other people that have been doing this the same amount of time, and, their channels grow at a faster pace, or they have higher views, and I'm like, "You know what? I gotta just be me. I gotta be true to me. I don't need to worry about what they're doing. I'm happy for their success. And I just, if it kind of stalls out, then I'll know that, my time has kind of come to an end, but it hasn't so far. So we're just going to keep plugging along,
sure.
and
But
doing our thing.
recently, Papa Smurf and I were talking about that exact same thing about his channel. I mean, my channel is non-existent, and it's just because I don't have that. I just don't have the time to put the content
Mhm.
out there. But you guys that make a very conscious effort to do that on a very regular basis. Papa was saying that exact same thing. Um, that right now I'm not really in it for the views. It's more about being able to get the content out there and being able to talk to people and share the knowledge that I've been able to acquire, and that's very admirable. And I think when you talk about birds of a feather, and what like minds and hive, I think that's why I always gravitated towards you and my four horsemen. Um, is because people really, you guys have that mentality, that mindset, that you just want to share the information, and you're just
Mhm.
trying to make other people's lives better and be
Mhm.
helpful. And it's not about views, and it's not about making money on the channel. It's about really connecting with the community of detailers, this brother sisterhood thing that goes on. I mean, you can look at any of the live streams that Fab puts out or that Eric puts out and things of that nature, and there's a core group that's still there.
Mhm.
Sure, there's people that come in all the time,
Mhm.
extras, but that core group is still there.
Mhm.
um and Phoenix EOD is a testimony to that very, very that I don't know, mantra, if you will, because it was like, if you do this, we will help you. All four of those guys were just like, whatever we can do to help you, we'll do it. We'll put your
Mhm.
stuff up, and we'll talk about you, and all that stuff. And so, I mean, like, it was, and they didn't ask for anything in return. And so, like, the naming of the products and stuff like that, that was the only way at the time that I had to say thank you, was to pay them homage, to, hey, you guys are willing to go out on a limb for me. At least hopefully at some point, if Phoenix becomes one of those household names, it'll translate back into support to you guys. And so I really love being a part of this community. The friendships that I've made. We did
Mhm.
that Southern Kraken tour last summer, and I got to go down
Mhm.
and see Tim, and I met Phil and Clifford. Just like, I mean, there's a genuine friendship that grows in this community, and I've always appreciated that about you. And you've never hesitated to share your wealth of knowledge with me. um, and obviously product testing, you've been instrumental in helping me bring these products along. So
Oh, I'm humbled to be even considered for it, so thank you. I can't
well,
it's that's your baby. Like, you've put your heart and soul and a lot of money into that, and
well,
it's
yeah,
the least that I can do is to test
stupid.
it out.
That's funny. When I just did Motor Trend, Motor Trend had me come down to Tennessee, and they interviewed me.
Yeah, I saw that.
And yeah, and they're gonna air it
You
May
said May?
7th. May 7th, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, awesome.
but one of the things that he asked me about, he was like, EOD, this evolve or die, like, what separates you from the herd? And um it, it was really quite easy to answer. And that's, oh, by the way, that's where the Lord Captain Commander comes from. How somebody, I think, where Chris, I think, made a comment about Lord Captain Commander. Um, but it was there it is. Yeah, so basically during the interview, when they're getting ready to do this very thing, put your name and your title underneath there. um he said, so what's your title? And I just said, I don't know, owner, operator, I don't really know. And he's like, oh, come on, you have to have something better than that. And I was just like, all right, Lord Captain Commander. That's how you have to refer to me from now on, Lord Captain Commander. And I forget where that came from. It's a sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi nerd. But anyway, he said, how do you separate yourself from the herd? And the answer was, I said, you have to get out of your own way, and you can't, when it comes to product development, and when it comes to trying to get the best product out there, there's no room for ego. I cannot say, and everybody that's listened to me has heard this 1,000 times, where it's like, it's not my job to be the smartest guy in the room. It's my job to get the smartest people in the same room.
Mhm.
And there's no room for ego there. And it's kind of like, well, talking to, Fab and Papa Smurf and Brian from Apex and you and Miranda, and Tim. Tim is amazing when it comes to product development. No, I'm not saying it. Tim's terrible. Everybody who's listening, Tim's terrible. Don't talk to him about product development because he'll give you bad information. But anyway, he's my knight in shining armor. He is a former engineer, and he gives you the best feedback. I mean, it is statistics right there. So
Well, you got Tim and you got Brian who will like dissect everything, and then you got me who's like, that smells like awesome.
Exactly. And so, you have to be able to take all of that feedback and be willing to change it and be willing to adapt and be willing to go back to the drawing board and the whiteboard and rewrite it and go, it's not quite right. It's not perfect yet. It's not this. They're saying they like this. They're saying they hate that. They're saying they like this. They're saying they hate that. And so there, like I said, there's no room for ego in this game. And I think that's ultimately why we're able to put out the products, the level of product that we're putting out is that, I know enough to know that I don't know enough.
You know a lot, though. I wish, honestly, I knew what you knew about the chemical side of the industry, because I feel like you have insider tips that most of us like crave that knowledge.
We
So.
100%, 100%. And it's not like that I went to school and it's not something that I know, but given that golden key into, the back room, the inner circle of world renowned chemistry, that's pretty cool. And you know what I mean? To have access to things that I shouldn't have access to. And then because of that, you're given that magic wand that says, well, what do you want to do? And how do you want to do it? And, this works because of this, and this works because of that. The Kraken, every day I'm learning a little bit more about the Kraken. That all-purpose cleaner, it's bonkers. And the chemistry behind it and why it works the way that it does. And, at a full concentrated level of 1-to-1, it can compete with some of the best wheel cleaners out there. Like talk about baked on brake dust and things of that nature. It can cut through it real quick. And then of course, by that dilution, and you dial back that dilution a lot, you can fine tune it and finesse it to do pretty much anything. So yeah, chemistry, again, not knowing everything, but knowing enough to be dangerous. And then of course, just sitting at the master's feet and listening. That's also critical. I think I have been truly blessed to have Brian from Apex as such a dear friend and a counselor and a mentor, and just being able to have lunch with him on Fridays and just standing in the same room, I'm learning stuff. He'll be talking on the phone, or he'll be talking to a customer, or he'll be instructing one of his crew, and it's just like, man, how did I not see that? How did I not know that? Oh my gosh. So
have you ever divulged on this channel like the blending side of things, like what you know?
What do you mean?
I mean, like who manufactures what chemicals?
So
Or is that like NDAs that you can't, like, you're like, that's not.
Well, I see now I have NDAs signed with like my chemist, all right, because he doesn't work for any.
But with your former,
yeah,
were there things that you learned that you're like, I can't ethically or morally, I can't pass
with my
on
former,
like, what I know.
With my former, I didn't know anything. There was a very isolated bubble, and that was one of the reasons why E.O.D exists. We had to evolve. You know what I mean? And I had to move outside of that bubble. And
but like even when you say to me, like, let's say B&B blending, they're like,
right.
oh, we'll take this one, and I'm like, people need to know this because they're buying the same products, just a different color and a different scent, but they're paying for marketing materials, and that it's all the same. And that's the thing that sometimes frustrates me the most within this industry. It's a
Sure.
$1 billion industry, and it is hard to try to figure out what product you want to spend your money on. That's what I like about you, because I feel like you don't mask that. Like a lot of your products, you've developed all of those, with your mad scientist chemist, but you're not trying to be the biggest guy in the room or the flashiest guy. Like, you just want it to work and be affordable.
Right.
So,
so it's that's an interesting question. there was never any NDA in that particular regarding that particular question. And I guess you know, privately I would answer those questions to anybody that asked me,
You're
but
like,
I had
not
to
on a
say,
podcast though,
yeah,
Chelsea.
I don't necessarily like, I don't know what the legalities are. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, the problem is, or I guess not the problem, but where the waters get muddy is Pan the Organizer did a video with that dude Chris
Mm-hmm.
from B&B Blending.
Yeah, they were talking about
And
graphene. I saw that one.
yeah, and he came right out and said, we blend for 400 companies.
I
And
know.
when he said that, the industry just, they like, everybody, their buttholes puckered, and they were like, whoa, why did you say that? You know what I mean? Because there
Yeah.
are a lot of the really big companies out there are
Mm-hmm.
being blended by B&B Blending.
Yeah. Because I think I heard there's what, 3 big blenders really within the detailing industry?
Well, it's, I don't necessarily know if, I mean, as far as big ones are concerned, probably
Mm.
big ones, but there's a ton of microbrewers out there, which is how I get by. I get by
It's
with
like
them.
craft beer, you know? It's like
Exactly.
microbrew. There's like some
100%.
guy
You know
in
what I
his
mean? It's just
garage,
like,
you
well,
know, with like throwing a little
what's my
surfactant, a
minimum
little
order
polymer.
to blend? And they go, well, hopefully we can get, what is it? Usually like 110 gallons or something like that is like the minimum blend. Um, but
I think sometimes those scare me though. Like when I see the guy that's like made this up like last night, and I'm like, can you replicate that? Like, was it
well, the
a
good
one
news, like
batch wonder?
I have a recipe, like a cake, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to like these microbreweries, you go, okay, I have this recipe for a cake, for a carrot cake.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to make me my carrot cake. And you go to this blender, make me my carrot cake. And you go to this blender, make me my carrot cake. And you go to this blender, you go make me my carrot cake. And of course, sign here. You can't say anything or tell anybody. Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And then you sample those different carrot cakes, and you go, I like that one the best. You're my new baker. Bam, right?
I would not be good in that profession. Like I would just be like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. How'd you do it? I don't know. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
no,
remember.
we got some real, like, we got to hone down, and I have some really cool guys on my team that you know, maybe they were formerly of another big company that used to hire them, and then they got fed up with the BS of the industry, and they were like, you know what, we can do it ourselves, and we can do it better, and they know what they're doing, and that's proven to be very, very beneficial. It's kind of like at the end of World War II, where the Soviet Union grabbed a whole bunch of scientists, and the United States grabbed a whole bunch of scientists, and then the Cold War began. It's very similar to that. There at one point there was a very big exodus from some of the bigger blending companies because they got fed up, and that opened up the opportunity for a lot of these micro blenders to pop up, and they know what they're doing. It's cool.
I just think that's like small business in general. That's what's caused the boom. Everyone's getting fed up with the larger business mentality. That's why my husband started his own business. He's like, we can do this with better integrity and, still provide a good product. So
100%. 100%. I think that's probably why you and I talk, is because we share that same idea.
yeah. Someone asked me a question. What was my favorite car to detail?
Where?
I mean, the one that I was the most satisfied with was probably a 2022 Corvette with gray metallic flake, but it was a pain in the butt to polish and coat because of all the angles and the paint was so hard. So, like the after, yeah, but the process, no. Like, I actually really enjoy working on Teslas. Honestly, I don't like the interiors, but their paint is pretty pleasant to work with. Um, they clean up really nicely. So I don't know. It's a hit or miss. I've had some that surprisingly like I enjoy, but there's normally like an interior that I hate, but the exterior I love, or the I've never had like a consistent in and out that I really enjoyed. But I would have to say Corvette. The lines on
Corvette?
those things are sexy.
All right.
I'm a Corvette girl. Although I can't drive stick shift, and my husband, that drives him crazy because I said that when we retire, I want to get a Corvette, and he's like, "But you want an automatic, and that's not like you can't buy an automatic Corvette." And I'm like, "Well, sorry, you don't have to drive it." I don't even know if I'll fit in it. I'll be honest with you. I'll probably just like crawl over on the ground, and
Yeah, exactly. I can't. I'd have to, I
they're
mean,
so low to the ground.
I'm going to buy a truck next. I just have to.
My husband bought a truck, but he won't get step ups. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing. He thinks they ruin the lines of it. Meanwhile, my daughter's like getting a running start just to try to get it. So
Well, we probably covered this a little bit, but when you made that transition from the church parking lot to the professional detailer, what would you say was the hardest hurdle that you had to overcome to make that transition?
me being
Really?
a perfectionist. Yeah. Me having a certain standard that I thought my customers would expect and thinking that I was the customer. Um, because I was detailing to my level, but I have an insane eye for detail that the average person isn't going to see. And I really like I wasn't understanding time management. So I was recently diagnosed just a couple years ago with ADHD, and just kind of dismissed it. Was like, whatever. I'm not hyperactive, but I've really been doing a lot more research into that and understanding time management and how that's like a really big blind spot for me. And I would just spend however much time I needed to on a detail to get it perfect, regardless of how long it took me. And then you're losing profitability. You're also losing time with your family. And so I think for me, like getting an efficient process and understanding how much time it would take to do a project and just kind of sticking to that. And I actually set timers and I pace myself to that timer because I work really well with rigidity and sometimes with pressure. It keeps me focused, keeps me going. But I think honestly that was the biggest hurdle because I would spend way too much time on a detail and then I was giving stuff away too, because I would think that the car needed it and the customer wasn't paying me for it. And I was giving away a future sale and I was giving away free services to a customer and thinking, oh, they'll be really happy. They'll give me a fat old tip or they'll come back. And they didn't. And I would lose
Hmm.
that opportunity for a future sale. Um, and the opportunity to educate the customer and to say, hey, I know you were in for, full detail. I noticed that you have some scratches on the paint. Your car would benefit from having a paint enhancement. Do you want to consider scheduling that at your next appointment? And they would say, oh my gosh, yeah. And that was just an opportunity for me to have to educate the customer, help them see my value. Because half the time, if I were to say, oh yeah, by the way, I threw in a free polish, they're going to be like, why? Like, okay, I didn't ask you to do it. And they might not have appreciated it. Um, or authorized it. And then if you're giving away a service that the customer didn't really want, what happens if you damage the vehicle polishing it and that wasn't what they okayed? And so
Oh,
those were
yeah.
all things that I had to kind of, figure out for myself and just have better expectations for myself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never even thought about that. But yeah, that's. I remember Phil. He when he was,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think he was
I have a
reviewing
question.
the Glossum wax. He had said, I'd like to do this, but and I informed the customer that this is what should happen, but the customer said no, so I'm just not doing it. And so I think that rings true to a great deal of people.
Yeah, I know a lot of detailers. They're like, "Oh, just give them a nice courtesy service," and I'm like, "But what if you're like, what if they want you to do an interior and you throw in a free exterior and you use a cleaner on their wheels and you etch it? Like, who's responsible for that? They didn't approve the purchase of, the service." So, yeah, I mean,
Wow.
there's just for me, I had to learn about liability as a business owner. I had to learn about liabilities and not taking unnecessary risks and better time management, um, and things like that. So, uh, I had to become a better business person. I was good at detailing. There was no doubt about that. I was a really sucky business person my first couple of years. Um, and I think I'm still continuing to learn. I would love to take more business classes. I took one with the Detail Wise Academy with Jason, which was extremely insightful.
Okay.
Um, and I feel like that could take any, person who really wants to kind of take that next level, understanding your prices and breaking down literally everything to the penny. Um, and even if you ever get to a point where you want to grow to a shop and hire employees, like how to manage all of that. It's a really great class, but I just feel like there's still more to learn, and just having the right people to mentor you along the
Right.
way and following people that you want to be like. I feel like the Brian Spitlers of this industry, the Phil Mirandas, those are the people that I see their businesses and I want to emulate.
Sure.
So
No,
the
I get
Kelly
that.
Joneses. So
No, I
yeah.
get that 100%. I mean, if I were to focus in on a company that I would like to emulate, Gray Oats Garage. I like what they stand for. I like how they do it. They are all in house. They make their own stuff, and
Hmm.
it's a family run business. I really appreciate what they are and how they've done it. And so, yeah, if I had to follow in the footsteps of a leading chemical company, that would be the company that I would want to emulate.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. We'll just call him Cav. Cav Brown asked the question: Are you a perfectionist with your own cars, or do you do enhancements on your own cars?
I mean, my husband doesn't touch them. If
Right?
that's what you're asking, I don't let him. He one time tried to clean wheel faces with a tire brush, and I was like, "And we're done." Like, walk away. No, he'll every now and then like clean glass. That's about the extent of it. But I coated both of our cars. I actually need to recoat my Subaru because we had he was in a little fender bender and he had to get some paint work done on my Subaru. So I figured I might actually make my vehicle a test vehicle. I'm debating that because I don't want it to look bad. But there's a lot of coatings that I want to test out. So I'll probably be doing something along those lines. But inside is a whole nother story. I would like to say that it is meticulous. It's really clean. Whenever people get in my car, that I'm like, sorry for the dirt. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like there's like a hair or maybe a dust. But I'm that weird person that's like at red lights, like cleaning my glass and like dusting all of my plastics down. And I try to vacuum as frequently as I can. I'm actually trying to get my kids to be more responsible, but my daughter is I love her, but she's kind of a pig, and
All
she's
right.
always leaving crap in the car, and sometimes as a mom, I'm just not yeah, I'm not chasing it. When I was mom to little ones, my car was spotless, surprisingly enough. Now that they're older, it's I care a little bit less.
Um, Speaking of the test vehicles and whatnot, when I finally got the labels, so we had the product done for the Furies, we had it done, but we were waiting and waiting and waiting for the labels to get finished. Because I have an illustrator that does if you look at all the labels, there's like a little image behind the actual, you know, name and all that stuff. There's always, and I hired an illustrator to make original artwork for that. So then he does that. Then it goes over to my designer, the label designer, and he designs the label, and I got to provide him with the narrative and all of that. And then once he gets that, then I have to take it over to the printers, and we get the labels printed. So happy to finally have the labels for the Furies that I went out and I put it on my car,
Mm.
sprayed it all over the wheels of my car. And one of the first comments was just like, "Oh, way to scorch your tires," and da 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 da. And I was like, the Furies had nothing to do with that. This vehicle has been tested so many products on so many things,
Yeah,
from a super pH to a almost 1 pH. Trust me, it wasn't the Furies that scorched those wheels, but no, I get it.
yeah.
You only have access to so many things. Um,
I mean, I'm pretty fortunate that like I have a lot of repeat customers that I see every 6 months, and so there's a lot of videos that I'll do that's like, we saw this vehicle 6 months ago. Let's see how this product is performing. But yeah, as far as coatings, I feel like I get I get annoyed sometimes, and I get frustrated with a lot of these torture tests that we do online that a lot of people really enjoy, but I don't feel like they're scientifically accurate. Because uh, we're just kind of throwing it with every sort of chemical at it, but it's not realistic. Like you're never gonna do that to your vehicle on a day-to-day basis, and if you are, you should have your keys taken away from you. Um, But yeah, I mean, I feel like those are more accurate tests to just kind of put it on a daily driver. My vehicle half the time gets stored outside. I have a Subaru Outback. Someone was asking earlier, what kind of buggy do you drive? I have a Subaru Outback, but I've done a lot of videos on both my husband and I's cars. I kind of wish we could trade them in and get new cars, but he
What just
won't let
happened?
me. I'm still here.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I have no idea. This is new to me still. It's
You're
only my
fine.
fourth time. I was just saying
You're
hi to
fine.
Nacho Man. Um, everything went. So anyway, yeah, uh, that completely threw me. All
You're
right, so
good.
moving to the next one.
Yep.
You had last time we got together when we were hanging out. You had said something about basically all the shops are starting to look the same, and that people are basically they're basing their level of success based upon how their shop looks or what equipment they're using or what supplies they're using and things of that nature. And you had said something that was really just kind of I don't know. It was really nice that you had said, I have it in quotes here. Success looks different to everybody, and that
Hmm.
you don't need all of the glam to be a really good detailer. I was hoping that
Hmm.
you could go into that a little bit more about all the shops looking the same and what does that represent?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in any of the detailing Facebook groups, like you kind of know what I'm talking about. There's the really popular honeycomb lights, which if you have all those things, I'm not knocking them. I kind of really like them for myself as well, but they're not cheap. But there are times that I feel like everyone, will put up these posts that say, "Hey, show me your shop designs," and then everyone feels like they've got to duplicate that, and that once they do that, then they've achieved success, and my business looks different than what most would consider a detailing shop. I've had some within the industry that they maybe not directly, but very indirectly have hinted that they don't see home detailing garages as a legitimate business, that it's kind of a, fly by the night. And I think some people could agree or disagree with me, but um I don't want someone to, I guess, take away what I've been able to accomplish, but just because I'm working from home, because I am everything a legitimate business is. I have a business license, I have business insurance, I have business cards, I have uniforms, I have intake forms, I have a website, I have social media, I have marketing. I just wear all the hats, and I don't pay rent. I mean, I pay a mortgage, but
For
I
sure.
don't pay rent. And I
When
also am a mom that I have kids' bikes and toys in my garage because it is still a functioning garage for my family. And so, there are times that, I see the comments and that certain people can make about um, people who work from home or have home-based garages, and I feel like the sense is that they're not legitimate. And I kind of want to show that it doesn't matter whether you're a mobile detailer, working at a dealership, pressure washing vehicles like 100 cars a day, or maybe you're the college student who's doing a couple cars here and there, or a home-based business, or you have a shop where you have luxury vehicles and you're turning over, anywhere from 10 to hundreds of cars on a daily basis. If you are pursuing a passion that you are passionate about and you're able to provide for your family, even if it's supplemental, I think that success can look completely different for different people, but I consider myself extremely successful. I have the luxury of being able to pick and choose the days, the customers, and the times that I work. I have phenomenal customers that are very flexible with my schedule, and I try to be flexible with theirs. But you know, I I want to show other parents, other moms, other people that you don't have to just go out and get a shop and employees. And if you have that, that's fantastic. I've had people suggest that I do that, and I have other friends that have done that and they regret it and say, I wish I could go back to just working in a garage by myself, because then I didn't have to deal with employees and turnover and low work ethics and all of these things. And so I just wish there was a little bit more support in the industry for the different ways that this business can look. It doesn't have to be one-stop shop that, once you get a shop, you're successful, but anything other than that isn't, the pinnacle of success, because for me, I'm satisfied and I'm content, and I think that's successful, you know?
That's fantastic.
Could I be more? Sure, but I don't need to be.
It's interesting that you brought all that up. One, could it be considered a barrier of entry into the profession? This idea that I have to look a certain part in order to be um, a certain part of the industry. Do you think that that preconceived notion that I have to be doing this and using this and looking like this in order to be a detailer, so I'm just not going to do it?
I think that there is the viewpoint with some professionals that there needs to be an industry standard. And to some extent, I get their viewpoint. I'm not going to discredit it. I know that there's a lot that, let's say, the IDA, they want to kind of have a greater professional um, regulation within the detailing industry, especially for those that are, let's say, the shop mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think across the board, then that allows some of the undercutting to not be so extreme. The people that are, I'm going to do an entire detail for $50, but at the same time, like, if someone is okay with doing that, like, why do we have to attack them? Yes, there's a lot more room on the table that they could go, and maybe they're not understanding their full potential and worth,
Right.
but we all started somewhere. I
Sure.
started off as $75, and I mean, it took one detail to quickly realize that was not not a good rate. Um, but we all start somewhere, and we all, and that's where I don't know. I see a lot of judgment, a lot of lack of support for people that, maybe they're starting out, or maybe they are someone like me. And I mean, you look at what are some other home-based detailing businesses that you can identify just on YouTube alone? I mean, Phil Miranda, he works from home.
Sure.
Pan the Organizer, he works from home. Mind you, they have like full-blown shops that they have catered
Papa
this, but
Smurf.
even
Papa Smurf
Papa
works out of
Smurf.
his garage. So
I think the largest YouTube channel for detailing is the Detail Geek. I think he works from home as well. I mean, mind you, he's put a
Cash, I'm
lot
pretty
of
sure
money.
Cash works from home. He
But
has
there are some,
yeah,
yeah.
Cash.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying that there's a lot of opportunities, in that type of a format, that I think people discredit and just think, oh, I can't work. And not everyone has the capability to work from home. I get that. You might live in a neighborhood or an HOA that kind of prevents that. And so, I'm fortunate. I have a phenomenal neighborhood, phenomenal neighbors that love me. I try
yeah,
to be mindful and consider that. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, especially with the home detailing, there's a lot of opportunities for people that they kind of overlook because they think it has to look this way.
sure.
And
It's very interesting. My background before getting into chemicals was EMS. I spent 20 years in the EMS, from firefighter through first responder, and I would imagine, like, towards the end of my professional career in EMS, I did become very jaded towards the volunteers. Um, and I was a lieutenant in a volunteer ambulance squad. Um, and it was the bitterness came from the fact that from a professional point of view, we were making, I think, $14 an hour, something stupid like that. $14 an hour. I mean, and it literally have brought people back from the dead. And I felt that it was because you could get a volunteer to do the same job. That's why we weren't getting paid what we should have been paid. And from my experience with the volunteer, like the majority of the volunteers squads that I interacted with, I felt were definitely not nearly as up to the same standards as a professional,
Mhm.
as a paid, you know, uh, respond. And so I became really jaded towards that. And I remember
Mhm.
towards the end, I like really jaded towards that. Just there's a couple of calls that I can remember where, you know, the volunteer, we arrived on scene, the volunteer showed up without an ambulance first and foremost, and then all the information that he gave me was wrong. The patient's name, the patient's age, what was wrong with the patient, it was just all wrong. Like I don't know if he gave me the wrong piece of paper that he was writing it down on or whatnot, but I mean, I I lost my head on that volunteer. Um, Obviously, it's completely different than in the detail world, but I would
I
imagine
can
that.
see the correlation though.
Thank you. That and so like I from my point of view, I kind of
Mhm.
like I see both sides. I see
I
both
do
sides,
too.
and I've
I
seen a
do
lot of
too.
guys at my old job. You know, when I got into the chemical industry, my old job, there would be guys that would come in, you know, off the street. As a matter of fact, Derek Copes from I want to say distinctive detailing. Um, you know, he went through the prison system and came out on the other side and decided that he was going to make a better life for himself and became, you know, a professional detailer. And now he pays it forward by donating his time to the YMCA to teaching these kids, you know,
Mhm.
that
You told me about him.
you
Yeah.
don't need to be on the streets. You know, you can turn a wheel and make some money
Mhm.
fairly easily. And so, you know, that is extremely admirable. And I want to
Mhm.
support that as much as I possibly can. But then at the same time, you're kind of like, you know, what's the industry standard? And so I don't know.
And that's where I strive to at least be close to that. I mean, I know that my overhead costs are way different than someone in a, larger scale shop. Um I try to charge like at least anywhere from 50 to $80 an hour. Um some details I can make more than that. I feel like anything more than 90 is a little greedy. I mean, I work in a market that is saturated with detailing, like absolutely that saturated. Um, and so I feel like I've been able to raise my prices to a level that I am morally comfortable with charging my customers. Um, I know that there are some detailers that they'll charge $2,000 plus for coatings. I am not that person because, I know what I need to make for my hourly rate for my materials, and I try to provide that. I have some customers that are bringing every single vehicle they own. They have like 4 vehicles. They're bringing them to me to coat, and even if they get like a scratch on it or like a year later or something, repaint, they're like, "Just coat the whole thing over again," because it was within that margin for me, but it was affordable for them that they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Okay," you know? So I've
Right.
got a lot of repeat business and stuff, so yeah, I mean, I feel like, and again, this is my opinion.
Sure.
For the format and the market that I'm in, but I feel like there's just for people that are just coming into this industry, I want to kind of break that pressure that they feel like they've got to look a certain way to feel like they've achieved that pinnacle of success, you know.
Okay. That's great answer. All right. So I guess that brings us to the next two questions, which is, you know, we were talking about the community and you know, the idea of nurturing a culture of being supportive versus being judgmental.
Mhm.
Um, Being a woman in the industry, how has that impacted? Like, what have you experienced as a woman in a predominantly male dominated industry? Um, what is your insight as to being a woman in this industry?
So I just looked up the statistic actually just before this podcast. 13.84% of detailers are females. That leaves like what 86% are male. And I'm sure that, that's not, accurate or whatever, because there's a lot more females detailing, I think, behind the scenes in
Sure,
support roles than most people are aware. Um, I feel like we're really gifted at what we can do, but I feel like we're underestimated.
sure.
Um, I know with personally customers, it took a while for me to break through that stigma, for me to prove to them what I was capable of. And I've said it in different podcasts or different videos, but you know, a lot of my customers are females. They're more comfortable with me. I've actually had some, like let's say a husband will call me and say, my wife had a bad experience at a shop. The guy tried to blitz her. Um, she would just feel more comfortable with a woman. And
Sure.
so he tried me out, and I will notice that I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but a lot of the females will come out and to, engage with me. The husbands will sit in the car while they're kind of, walking me around the vehicles. We first meet and I, kind of let them get to know me a little bit, go over their expectations. And then once the detail is complete, then the husband will kind of come out and kind of stand there and, kind of checking things out and like,
White
oh,
glove it.
and yeah. And I mean, and I've had it, and then they'll come and lean on the car, and I'm like, "Get off the car!" I'm like, "It's fine. It's totally fine." And then they're like, "So," and we'll talk about maybe the next time we see the vehicle, things that I might recommend, and then maybe talk about like in the future if you've ever want to consider ceramic coating. They're like, "That's something you do," and I'm like, "Yep, I offer that." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So, I've definitely had a lot of those interactions that I've just kind of learned to brush them off and not take them to heart.
Right.
Um, but it feels really good when they're like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, we're pretty badass actually, if you think about it. But you don't need to be gender specific to do this business.
Sure.
And I've actually heard a lot of people say that they feel like women are a little bit more um uh gifted in this area because of our eye for detail. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I'm that weird person that enjoys cars, but yeah, and I think as far as from a customer, there's kind of a little bit of a stigma, but also within the detailing industry, sometimes it can be, and I'm not saying this at all to any of the people that are watching this, because a lot of these people, they are followers on my channel, and I have
Hmm.
phenomenal supporters on my channel. I don't think I've ever had one person ever say anything in the line of, well, she's a female, she can't. And even if someone might, they're like, no,
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
even,
Yeah. The
I don't
swarm,
even have to
swarm,
defend
swarm.
myself. They
Exactly.
defend me for me. And I love that. But there are some detailers, not in this group, that are very sexist. They're very egotistical. And I
I
mean,
don't believe that for a minute.
it's very few margin. It's very few, but um, you know, they just really underestimate women. And sometimes that's hard to see, but it's always really comforting when you've got, I'll say it, my big brothers that just rally behind me
Sure.
and just storm the force and support me. And that is extremely gratifying. I mean, I've got like I have some specific, like Gabe Fletcher, Joey Love, like guys that are in the Detailing for Money group, that I'm a moderator in that group. And I know that some people they have mixed feelings about that group or moderators, but like those are guys that have like gone to bat for me. When people have attacked me online.
Yeah.
And it's just,
There's a bunch of people in this chat group that does the same thing for Phoenix. I mean,
yeah,
it feels like, bring it. I got an army. I got an army
I
to
know.
back me up. So say
It
what you want.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings in the world. I don't know how I got so lucky having such sweet supporters on my channel, male and female. And I mean, half the time I'm like trying to guess through their username, is was that a guy or a girl? I don't know. I'm gonna assume that most of them are guys. I do have some girls though, but I think that's the thing, that it's not all bad. And the few that are kind of that way, it's so minimal.
Sure.
But it's just sad that it could take one, to kind of
Yeah.
spoil the whole group. But I always remind myself of the good versus the bad, and the good very much outweighs the bad.
Sure.
So
Speaking of which, something's happening in Chicago shortly. What's
oh, just this little creator summit. I mean,
what is
it's
that all
it's
about?
nothing.
What is that all about?
It's nothing. It's only gonna be the most epic event ever. So
Well,
yeah.
tell me about it, because I don't know. I wasn't invited, so
It's
tell me
our
about it.
first year, so give us some time.
Okay.
So if you've followed me for a while, I am a Car Supplies Warehouse affiliate manager. I'm also an affiliate, so I kind of manage myself, which is weird. But I work with Jason Otterness. He owns Chicago Auto Pros, as well as Car Supplies Warehouse, as well as Detail Wise Academy, as well as like 5 other businesses. It's exhausting keeping up with him. But we have a great team of affiliates that kind of help support Car Supplies Warehouse. There's tons of different detailing supply product websites on the market. Detailed Image, Autoality, Detail King, Auto Geek, all these other places. Jason, it has fantastic products that he sells on his site, but he's got a lot of affiliates. Brian Spittler is one, Phil Miranda, Pan the Organizer, Jessica Tran, Jamie the Cleaner. I'm trying to Tony Ralda. We've got Luke Wilson. We've got a ton of really high quality affiliates that support Car Supplies Warehouse. And the one thing that I love about Jason is that he really supports his affiliates. I'm an affiliate with a ton of different websites, and none of them support me really. None of them like promote me. None of them like do anything. Like, I support them. They give me a check for, commission, but that's kind of the extent of our relationship. But Jason really cares about helping his affiliates grow and be the best version of themselves. He has a newsletter that he shares our videos with to his people, and he's always just providing opportunities for us to grow. And the Creator Summit is going to be this mega event where all of the affiliates for Car Supplies Warehouse, like the top ones, and some even the smaller ones like me, I don't even know how I got even considered in this equation, but we've got some of the top vendors within the detailing industry, from G Technique, Cheon. We're working on it, Aaron. Working on it.
It hurts so bad.
I said some, not all. Okay.
I blacked out there. What happened?
We've got a great lineup of companies, that he sells on his website, and
What are
all
the
these
dates? What are the
affiliates.
dates? Is it open to the public or no?
So April 26th to 27th, we're going to be doing our content creation. We're going to be like tons of videos that we're going to be creating to share with you guys, like firsthand experience with these products. We are going to actually be with the vendors, asking the questions, discussing the products. And then the 20, wait, let me think this. So the Thursday, Friday is going to be when we create the content. Saturday is going to be the meet and greet. I think it's from 10 to 2, and it's open to the public. There's going to be some food trucks. We're going to have the wash bays open. It's going to be in Romeoville at the bays.
Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
April 28th, you said? 10 to
Is it
2?
the 28th or 29th? I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm going to be there the 26th through the 30th.
I got it right here.
I think it's the 29th.
It is the 29th.
Because
all right, so Saturday the 29th.
I fly out the 30th.
From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can go out there and hang out with Chelsea and wash a car from 10 to 2 out in Chicago. Where?
We're going to be at the bays, at the Romeoville location, but it's owned by Chicago Auto Pros. It's this awesome facility that they have their Car Supplies Warehouse, their storage facility at, but also bays that people can. It's a great business concept, but we're going to have the 4 bays open with different vendors that we're going to be able to kind of play with products and just kind of rub shoulders with you guys. You can ask questions. We can just chill, get some tacos, hang out. It's going to be pretty fantastic. I'm really excited about it. I'm kind of really nervous about it, but I'm really excited about it.
All right. That's awesome. Okay. That little banner is an inside joke. Anybody that's been watching knows the joke.
Your wife won't let you have women customers. I'm reading some of these comments from Papa Smurf.
Yeah, we like to tease him. Anyway, so wait a second. Back before Cat Guy had asked a question about becoming comfortable with your. Oh, here it is. How long did it take you to feel comfortable doing paint corrections, identifying soft and hard, clear type of, and the pads that you use, etc.? From what I understand, from what everybody tells me, and that's kind of like the reason why we developed Papa Cut and Fab Polish to be as pad dependent as it is because every make and model and year the paint can be different
And color.
in color. So like as a professional, Eric, as a professional, Chelsea, how do you determine like what your approach is going to be?
I think when I first started detailing, a lot of it was research because I didn't have that firsthand experience, and having those mentors that I could reach out to say, "Hey, I'm working on a Tesla, I'm working on a Porsche, I'm working on, this kind of car." Um, and honestly, just kind of establishing that baseline of soft, white pad, finishing polish, and going from there. But the more you polish, the more aware and familiar you will get with different paints. But I could work on a Hyundai from one detail and get hard paint with that, and the next detail it be completely different. And so a lot of it really is that test spot, just knowing what products, like I could have an idea, let's say Hyundai is hard paint. I know where with my hard paints where my test spot needs to start. Like 3D1 would be a good one to try out on those. Or, even I would say a drop of Papa Cut, a drop of, finishing polish, different things like that.
Right.
If you see marring, if you see haze, if you see ghosting, then okay, I need to dial it back or change my pad. And really, it just comes with you becoming comfortable with the products, because I have a lot of different polishes and options at my leisure, and there are certain ones that I just don't reach for anymore, and there are certain ones that I'm really comfortable. I know how I can kind of finesse them. Like even your finishing polish, you put it with a yellow pad, it can do decent correction.
Sure.
It's not just a finishing polish. So, like you said, it's pad dependent. But just having an understanding of the products, the pads, getting that test spot underway, knowing when you see certain things, I either need to step it up or I
Right.
need to dial it back. And that just comes with experience. But there are a lot of forums online that you can go to. I think Reddit is tons of forums that people are asking the same exact questions that they'll kind of give you a good starting point. But
So
the only real way to learn is to just do it,
right. I did my absolute first detail, full detail by myself 2 Sundays ago. Um 2 Sundays ago. That's like
How many hours did it take you?
5 hours. 5 hours.
And
And it was
was
a
that in and
tiny,
out?
it was just exterior.
Okay.
5 hours. I don't care. I don't care.
How
It
good
was
did that feel
it
using
is
your
it is
products?
amazing. It is
Like,
amazing.
using your product, it's like
Right?
your baby.
It was,
Like, you
and it
gave
was it's
birth.
like it's a Mercedes sports car. It was like really high. I'm like, are you sure you want me to do
Was
this?
it hard paint?
Uh, well, yeah, I would say yes, it was. And
Yeah,
so
German paint is normally harder.
basically, what I want to convey here is one, the village idiot did a detail all by himself. That's without the mentors and without picking up the phone and call. Well, I think I did call Eric twice. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I called her. But anyway, I did it by myself, and I started out, and I the words of my barber ring in my ears, and he's like, you can always cut more, you can't cut less.
Mhm.
So I started with fab polish and a polishing pad, and it didn't do anything. It
It's
like
not going to
it
on
didn't do
Mercedes-Benz.
it didn't do anything. So then I was like, all right, well, let me try a Euro fiber pad because everybody like that's Brian's go-to, right? And so, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I'm all right, I'm gonna go to the Euro fiber pad and I'm gonna do the same thing. And
It probably was
it
perfect.
was beautiful. I'm gonna
Mhm.
post pictures and a little bit of video when I get a chance to edit it.
Hard
But
paint
like
and Eurofiber is like
I took before pictures, and of course, because I am Brian's protege, I have gloss meters and I have thickness gauges and all of that stuff. And so I took all those measurements before. It was like an 86 on the gloss meter. When we were done, I did the entire car with the finishing polish and a Eurofiber pad, gloss and wax, followed up with Titan, and we ended with a 102 on the gloss meter scale. and it looks like glass. I took this picture of the Titan bottle on the hood, and they wouldn't stay on the hood, so I had to put a microfiber towel down and then put the microfiber bottle on there. And it is a mirror. It is a mirror of the Titan bottle, and I took a picture of that, and I am so proud of myself. I've been talking about it. I'm probably just a fanboy. I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. This is what I did all by myself.
Oh, I know, and you probably took 10 pictures and are gonna post it all
Oh,
over.
of
I think
course.
it's so funny because like, my husband poses with these beers and, like, has to set them and stage them, and my kids were like, "Why do you do that with the beers that you drink?" He's like, "Same way mom takes pictures of tires and, like, reflections on cars," and I'm like, "Shut up, Dave," like, it's, whatever, whatever, but, yeah, I think it's hilarious how sometimes, like, I'll lay in the middle of the road just to try to get the right I'm like, "No one kill me, please." You've caught the official bug of
Yeah,
you
for
now
sure.
understand why we're all
Yeah, I can do
insane.
my wife's car now, and then I can do my car for real, and then maybe I will go ask
This is how it starts,
my
because then you
neighbor if he
start
will.
looking for people that you're like, "Who can I do next?" And then
Yeah,
before you know it, you've started a business in your home garage.
that's right. That's right.
Oh, it's
So
the
yeah.
end of the world as we know it.
Hey, we got you to sing, Humberto.
Yay, you're
Humberto, are you
welcome.
there? Ah, fantastic. Oh, that's great.
Check.
Well, so that's what I got on my list. I don't know if there's anything else you want to really talk about or whatever, but I think that you covered the gambit on everything. We've gone
As
over.
far as detailing, yeah, there's a whole lot of me that you probably we can save that for another
I would
podcast.
love to.
What do you guys wanna know? Do you guys have any
Yeah, hey,
questions for
let's
me?
open the floor. Open the floor. Anybody got any questions for Chelsea?
I someone said a comment earlier that I was like, "I don't understand the Chelsea was waiting for the right time to answer, Aaron. I even got scared if you got it wrong." What did
I
you mean
don't
by
know.
that,
I don't
Miller?
know, but it looked good. It looked good. So
Oh, well.
I don't know.
And, I guess
I'm also
beyond
on my third glass of
questions,
apple juice.
like, yeah, if you guys so I'm trying to think, I'm gonna be working with specifically I have some videos with Rupes, AM Details, Oberk, McKee's 37. I have a video with Phil Miranda. I'm excited about that one. A video with Rick from Rad Garage. Um, but if
And wait,
there's like,
go back to the video with Phil Miranda. Was that like a live stream, or did you go down and see
no,
him,
no,
or did
no,
you go
we're
to see?
going to be at the
Oh,
Creator Summit.
oh, that's fantastic.
Um, yeah, so we've got like we've kind of got to get all of our creative juices flowing. But if there's like knowing from those like the AM details, Oberk, McKee's, Rupes, if there's like specific questions that you guys might have, because I get to rub shoulders with people like freaking Jason Rose and Nick Rudder and the guys from PNS and I
If they
mean
want to reach out to you, Chelsea, how can they reach out to you?
They can they can always leave a comment on my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
You can do it on my Facebook page. I have Instagram. I have TikTok, which is weird. Um, there are so many. There's so
Okay.
many social
Uh,
media platforms that they can reach out to me. I mean, I would like to reserve my cell phone and my website for customers. I do
Sure.
get a lot of people that
Do you
message
have
me
an?
on my website.
Is there an email address that they could maybe drop
The
you?
I mean, I'd
Yeah.
rather just a comment on the YouTube
Okay.
channel because again, the email, it like there's a lot of emails that I get and it's hard to respond to all of them. Sometimes the questions, and honestly, I'm very forgetful. Half the time people send me emails, I star them and then I never go back to them. So I do try to reserve emails and stuff like that for customer interactions just because I know that those are high priority. If I start getting a lot of just kind of random questions, then sometimes I overlook customers that I need to respond to. But yeah, any of my social media platforms, you can kind of put suggestions for any topics or questions that you might have because it's going to be a great opportunity for me to really get to know these people, get to know their products, and be able to explain anything that you guys might have a question about. Do I have a scientific or chemical engineering background? Why does it seem like I do? Because that's really that's really flattering. No, oddly enough, so I graduated from Lancaster Bible College and I have a bachelor's of science in Bible. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was all over the place. I was a counseling major for like 2 years. Then I wanted to do camp ministries. Then I wanted to just graduate at the end of it all. So I don't have any background in that. I am like a sponge though. Every time I'm around people like Aaron or people who have that knowledge, I am trying to soak it up because I feel like to do this job, you need to have at least a basic understanding of chemicals.
Right.
You can't just start throwing stuff at a vehicle, not understand what its pH value is, how it's going to respond to the materials you're exposing it to, how to neutralize it. Um, having just a basic knowledge of the pH scale is a good place to start.
A
Like
great place to start.
understanding the products that you're using because every company is required to put that material online with an SDS. So all you have to do is simply Google it, look up the SDS. Um, Also, like having people like, let's say for like Brian, you're super knowledgeable. Aaron, you're super knowledgeable. My rep for Koshemi, Brian Martin, extremely knowledgeable people. Like I didn't know that when you have a pH of let's say 12, but you
Hmm.
add water to it and you dilute it by 10%, it knocks it down percentage wise. And then when you dilute it even further to another 100th percentile, it dilutes it even further. So it's getting closer and closer to neutral as you water it down. And so um, that might seem basic, but that was new knowledge to me. Um, so yeah, I think just having a basic understanding of the pH scale, the products you're using, and like what is a alkaline stain? What is an acidic stain? How do you neutralize it? Tannin stains, how do you neutralize that? It's really going to benefit you as a detailer, and it's going to make you sound super smart with your customers too.
For sure. For sure.
They're going to feel comfortable leaving their vehicles with you when you kind of know how to deal with all of the surfaces of the vehicle. Umberto asked me, "What is your biggest fear before detailing a customer's vehicle?" Screwing it up. That's my biggest fear. I don't think I ever don't do a detail where there's like that little um, thought in the back of my mind, and you try to put measures in place to prevent those. Um, and I mean, it's not like panic but there's just this awareness that what you're working on is precious to someone, and I take a lot of responsibility with that. I don't know if I could trust a detailer with my own vehicle, and so I take a lot of seriousness that people are trusting something that's very expensive, and it's also probably very expensive for me to replace it. So I try
Sure.
to put every precaution in place to protect that. So
Well, we had
I
a
have screwed things up. I have screwed things up. People don't think that I haven't. I've burned paint multiple times. I've destroyed classic vintage stickers on a 1970 motorcycle and had to pay for new ones to be purchased and put back on. And brand spanking new vehicle, burned the paint on a ridge and had to learn how to do touch up real quick. But always learned how to communicate with the customer first and swallow my pride and get out of my head and stop like, oh my god, like I'm done. I'm done. You're gonna make mistakes in this industry, and if you haven't, you will. So just get ready.
yeah.
But have measures in place to protect yourself. You need to make sure you have insurance. I had a customer that I did an interior detail for him, and cleaned his electronic display, and it was working fine when he left, but as he was driving home it stopped working. The radio was glitchy, his GPS stuff wasn't working. He messaged me like months later to say, "I didn't want to say anything to you, but
Oh,
my
come
radio
on.
isn't even working
Months
anymore." And
later, come
I
on.
don't know, but I looked it up, and it was like a common problem with that year, make, and model. Like it was actually like a warranty issue, but he was beyond that warranty issue. And here this was a guy that went to my church, friends with all my family.
Yeah.
He's not wanting to make a stink about it. And he's like, "I didn't want to say anything." He's like, "But I can't even use my backup camera now. I can't even use my radio or anything." And I was like, "You know what? Like, rather than deal with a bad review, because he knows a lot of people that I know." I was like, "I'm just gonna pay out of pocket." It wasn't even worth it for me to make an insurance claim. I found a used radio that he was like, I'll be fine with that as long as it works." We found a used radio. I have a friend who does that type of stuff. We installed a brand new radio for him that was working, like it was a refurbished unit. He was happy. I didn't have to pay an insurance claim, but it was like $350 out of my pocket that I had to pay, which I was like, because I couldn't say without a matter of like, I couldn't say 100% I didn't cause it.
Right.
So I was like, all right, my integrity is on the line, my name is on the line, we made it right. But those are the type of situations that people don't talk about much, and it happens, so didn't I work at a maid cleaning service? I was a housekeeping supervisor for a Bible college as well as the physical plant admin assistant, and so I felt like a housekeeper most days. When I was a student worker, when I was a student at LBC, I did clean. I was a housekeeper, and that's kind of where I got my start. And so I had to clean toilets and floors and buildings, and I worked for the summer and had to overturn dormitories, and eventually I became the supervisor and had to hire, train, supervise 20 to 30 employees, and it was a really fun job. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, that was my start with detailing. It kind of gave me my bug. All right.
Let's see here. Yeah. So Miller wants to know what's your go-to carpet cleaner these days? The interior is always my least favorite, but most satisfying when completed.
So I have a couple. And it depends on the severity of the interior. So if it's like mild, like we're just talking needs a good quick rinse, um, Superior product Zap It. Very, very low foaming, rinses away quickly, nice citrus scent, cleans okay if it's light soils. If it's heavier soils and I don't have a lot of time, um, Bonnet Pro, Rocket Revive It, or their Omegazyme. It's an enzyme eating solution. Goes really well after like greasy lipids and things like that. But I follow a lot of different channels on YouTube and Facebook, but I'm in a lot of carpet cleaning groups on Facebook, and I've learned a lot being in those communities. And I just kind of sit and read and learn, because that was one area I wasn't really strong suited in. And so like learning about those chemicals, learning about tannin stains, different things like that, really helped me be able to kind of tackle most interior issues. But the Bonnet Pro stuff, I feel like took me to that next level. I was using, just kind of just generic stuff like Zep products and things like that, and really struggling with getting good, consistent results. Having something that's like peroxide based, I feel like it brightens and lightens carpets. It goes after most organic stains that you're going to find. I do enjoy the Flex Ice products. Their BioBreak, Nick McGurk, Carlos Serrano, they turned me on to them. It's They have a powder that you can add, like, mix it up, spray it on, pre-treat, and then they also have their Flex Ice, which is an acid rinse that will help with wicking and neutralize the surface. But sometimes the Flex Ice, I feel like it can leave a little bit of residue behind on the carpets, and so and sometimes if I don't want to have to constantly be dealing with mixing powders into my extractor and the turnover time from that, and sometimes mixing two chemicals and having two chemicals, the Bonnet Pro is simpler, faster, and I can just kind of spray, agitate, extract. So that's probably super boring stuff to you guys.
Not at all. I think
But
that's exactly what the question that he asked. So
yeah, it's really like three big old products. I know a lot of people like the PNS system. I don't know. I didn't see wow results with that stuff. So plus you have to use like three products, and you go through a lot of it. At the level that I'm going through cleaners, I don't want to have to deal with three products and go through that much stuff. I feel like it's not very economical. But if you're like just cleaning a couple cars here, your own personal cars, that's perfect. So what last person in brings pizza and cook? I didn't know there was food available.
only Fab. Fab has to bring it. So
Okay.
no, Nacho Man asked a question about what's your go-to APC, but I clicked off of it by accident.
Mm. I don't think I have an affinity towards any APCs. I feel like I need to play more with Kraken. What I've seen from it so far is very impressive. Um, I'm not a huge fan of APCs. Mostly the time that I need them is for interiors, and I have struggled with, and this isn't your product. Kraken did a great
Hey,
job on
I
plastics.
did not bring you here
No, no,
to
no, no,
talk.
no. But I'm talking to Phoenix E.O.D, so I'm not gonna like
It's
dismiss
okay.
your product. But
I have to learn from the best
some
of the
some
best of the best.
APCs will burn plastics, and so I actually find that I don't use a lot of APCs. The like I will use Superior Products Dark Fury, which is a degreaser, but it's not an APC. I do use their Pink Perfection, but again, that's, I mean, I guess that could be classified as an APC, but it's a soap-based um all-purpose cleaner. I'm not a big fan of like the Purple Powers, the I will use spray nine sometimes for mold and things like that because sometimes it works really well at that. Um, I'm trying to think. I know that there's a lot of new ones on the market. I know DIY Detail has their All Clean. I haven't tested that one out yet. They just sent me a bottle of that. What I did work with Kraken was really good. It didn't stain plastics, which is very important because most will. It'll like, especially if you have like a Chrysler truck,
Mhm.
um, it will burn through that clear coat that's on the door panels and stuff and leave like a white chalky residue. So I tend to use something more like PNS Express Interior or the Pink Perfection to clean plastics with. And when it comes to outside, I use like different tire wheel cleaners that are dedicated for that. And as far as like, I know Phil Miranda is big on APC washes and stuff like that. Some, if you don't dilute them properly, will stain the paint or like leave ghosting. And so, and I think you have to know what you're doing. And some of the people that follow my channel, I get nervous about introducing products like that, that they don't have that kind of knowledge and experience to know dilution ratios, and we'll just kind of dump it into a bucket and then end up causing damage. So
Right.
I try to be aware of the products that I introduce on my channel. That I just don't want to be like, oh, just grab any APC, throw it in there, and not all are created equal.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and again, I'm still learning my own stuff, and I had no idea that the Kraken in its pure concentrated form it's got a pretty high pH, and
Hmm.
if you're not paying attention, you can do some damage if
Yeah.
if it's not being used as intended, you could do some damage. We had a customer at the old company that I worked for out in California that was doing he was cleaning his Tesla, and he was using the old company's brake cleaner, and that stuff is, I mean, it's pH is like it's a 14. It's at the top of the scale, and first and foremost, if you read the Tesla's owner's manual, it says don't use anything more aggressive than soap on anything. Um, so he
Which
was using,
soap?
yeah, right. So he's using a pH 14 brake cleaner. And the idea is you're supposed to hit it for 30 seconds and then rinse off. Like, don't even walk away. Don't even walk away from the wheel. But he decided he was gonna coat all four wheels. So he did the rear wheel, front wheel, went around to the other side, did that wheel, did the next
Was
wheel.
it the stock Tesla wheels that are like almost plastic?
Yep.
Yeah,
And
he burned them.
he smoked them. I mean,
Oh my god.
he smoked them so bad, it looked like a
Yeah.
zebra striping. It was so, I mean, he was so mad, and he called us and emailed us, and he wanted us to
Those are the
replace
worst wheels.
like $2,000 worth of rims, and I was just like, "Hey, man, like you used a sledgehammer where a tack hammer was called for. Like, what are you
Like,
doing?" And
literally could have probably cleaned them with a rinseless wash,
it's
like
it's it's garage kept. It's got what,
yeah.
60 miles on it. What are you doing using an, oh my god, a
And
pH?
that's the thing, like, some people just don't take that into consideration, and so, like, yeah, APCs have their place, and that's where I don't know, I don't use them as often. I honestly use APCs more to soak my ceramic coating towels before I wash them because it
So
helps break down the coating.
it's exactly what I do. Every time that I use, like when we're filling stuff out there, I have a big trough that's
Mhm.
I think it's a 10-to-1 Kraken mix, and I just dump everything into that and let it soak, and it eats
Yeah.
through whatever,
Yep.
crud we were pumping that day. But so from a chemical manufacturer point of view, would you, as a professional detailer, would you prefer, basically, as my dad would say, the right tool for the job? So instead of having the Kraken that can do a lot of jobs really well,
Mhm.
would you prefer to have a single product that does one job extremely well? Because I get a mixed
Mhm.
bag of comments of like, I love the versatility of this. I love that you can use it for this and this and this and this and this. And from the Phoenix point of view was, we wanted to make things economical and as
Mhm.
versatile as possible, so that you could do a lot of projects with one product versus
Mhm.
having to buy so much shit to just to do everything. It was just like, well, you know what? We have Papa Cut, a diminishing compound pad to pin it. So you can go anywhere from 1,000 grit to 1,800 grit, depending on what pad you're using. Same thing with Fab finishing polish. And then of course the Kraken, and then look at Hydra. Hydra has has 9 different heads,
Tons. Yeah.
right? Brian uses it. Brian says it's one of the best.
Interiors, glass,
That's
panel
what he said.
prep
He said it's one
white,
of the best glass
rinseless
at
wash.
10
Yeah.
to 1. It's one of the best glass cleaners I've ever used in my life. And I was just
Mhm.
like, but I kind of want to make a glass cleaner. He's like, you don't need to. And I was like, yeah, but
Just mix up Hydra a 10-to-1 and bottle it, and someone
right.
will buy
Change,
it.
put a different color and a different scent in it, and people will buy it
It
and
smells
drink
a
it.
lot like Hydra.
So I guess that might mean that question to you as a professional: would you rather have a specific product for a specific job, or would you rather be able to grab something off the shelf and then through education know, well, I have to mix it this way to get it to do this, I have to mix it this way to get it to that? Or would you rather just, I want to grab it and go because time is money and I don't have time to fart around with dilution ratios?
I think it depends on the vehicle, I'll be honest. Like, sometimes it's situational. Like, sometimes I'm on a crunch with a vehicle that, yeah, I want something that's gonna work quick and fast. Um, so, like, let's say for tire cleaners, I like using a dedicated tire cleaner because I think that it doesn't accelerate browning. I don't have to go as many times around the tire. I don't have to use as much product, so it saves me time, materials, and it gives me a better result that is a bit longer result for the customer. So, like, that's one specific scenario. And then another, let's say for carpet cleaning. APCs sometimes leave too much residue. They foam too much, or they don't neutralize things properly. It might be a higher alkaline that it's gonna actually cause rapid resoiling because you're not getting all of that foam residue out of the carpet. And then the next time the customer gets in the vehicle with wet shoes, they're kind of reactivating it, and then the dirt's gonna stick to it like glue. So I do like to use in like those specific scenarios a more dedicated product because it gives me a better result long term for the customer.
Okay.
Um, but that's my preference. Can something like Kraken, I know you said that it's not super high foaming. I feel like Kraken might be a unique product to the market
It
versus
can
some of
be
the
high
other.
foaming. Like I was
Yeah.
using it as a foamer over that week when I was doing that Mercedes. We did it
Mhm.
at 4 to 1 to clean the tires and to use it. Well, maybe it was 5 to 1, 5 to 1 as a pre-soak. So
Mhm.
I pre-soaked the whole thing with the Kraken. I did the Furies first on the rims, and then I pre-soaked with the Kraken, and I did the tires with the Kraken, and then I hosed it all off, and then I went to the IK foamer to foam the whole thing with the Apex Auto Wash, and I washed that down. And I asked, here's a fun question. I asked Brian this question, and I'll ask you the same question. If you're going to compound, if you're going to run, if you're going to polish the whole thing, the
Mhm.
vehicle, what is your take on claying a vehicle? Do you if you're going to compound the whole thing, do you need to clay?
I always do a clay towel. I don't really clay. I do
Okay.
a clay towel. Um, I think it can decrease the amount of compounding that you need to do. Like, let's say you have rail dust. And I've experimented with this. If I were to try to polish off rail dust versus a quick clay bar,
Right.
I can get it off so much faster. So you're going to spend a lot more time. Plus, you're overheating the panel, spending a lot more time just kind of sitting on that for one spot. Plus, you're doing this
Okay.
big versus the spec. Um,
That's
so
fair.
I think it's safer, less aggressive on the clear. You're not having to overheat it and all those things, and just time in general. Like I can do a quick chemical decon clay tile treatment combined.
Right?
Um, Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And then my polish step, I can literally like an hour get around an entire vehicle. I'm not having to like, sit on all those little rail dust spots or tar or, whatever is on the vehicle.
Okay.
I think it does make me more efficient.
Now, do you clay the whole thing, or do you like? So Brian's technique is he'll take a plastic bag, put his hand in it, and then he
Mhm.
runs his hand over the vehicle, and wherever he feels a rough spot, that's where he clays. He does not clay the whole thing.
I polish the whole thing, so I clay the whole thing. I mean, there
That's fair.
um that I have found that most of the time the vehicles that I'm seeing need it all over because they've not been properly maintained. Brian's
Sure.
probably working on a different caliber of vehicle than I am.
Well, probably,
Yeah.
probably.
I mean,
I
and
don't
plus
think I
he's
can't remember the last time I saw a Jeep Cherokee in Brian's shop.
yeah, and I mean, I work on daily drivers that are stored outside.
Sure,
Some are garage kept, but very few are. I'm seeing some of the work that Brian's coming out with, and they're nice cars. He's definitely been able to get a really great quality vehicle come into his shop. So, um, for me, it's faster, more efficient for me to just kind of do everything all at once versus kind of like having to sit there. And honestly, with my process, it's everything is wet. When a vehicle is wet, it's really hard to distinguish that grit on the surface. I mean, if it's gritty, you can tell with it's wet, but if it's only
right,
slightly when it's wet, you're not going to really notice it. So, for me to dry it, kind of examine it, then do that spot, clay barring and stuff like that. I know when you're doing PPF, like Brian is doing,
yeah,
it's a whole different world for contamination,
sure,
for decontamination. I know like when I was with Jason, because I was asking, I was like, "Do you guys clay tile or clay bar?" And he's like, "We used to clay tile," and he's like, "But then our PPF department was saying that we were missing a lot of stuff, that we had to go back to clay barring because the clay tile can sometimes miss stuff. But when I'm polishing,
interesting,
um, I'm most, 99% of that to 100% of the stuff has been removed with the polishing step. So
sure,
I don't think there's been a vehicle even brand new that if I'm ceramic coating, I'm at least not doing a quick paint enhancement to it.
okay,
I try not to have that kind of business model where I'm ceramic coating without polishing. Have I done it? Yes. Am I a fan of it? No. Because I
right,
feel like, the vehicle, at least at minimum, a quick paint enhancement could benefit it to clean it, remove whatever protection might be there, just strip everything properly.
sure. All right, so I'm gonna I'm gonna this I told you I was gonna only throw softballs at you, but I'm gonna throw
Coke.
I'm gonna thank you, Fab. You're out, buddy. Boom, boom. But
Coke.
anyway, oh, oh, he's
But
like
yes, Keith, I do like peach tea. That's
he's
what I'm
the
drinking
only
tonight.
person on the planet that likes Pepsi. Good. Bloop.
I grew up in Florida though, so everything is Coke.
Everything is Coke, right? Exactly. I went to college in Georgia. Their headquarters is in Atlanta, and it was everything is Coke, even if it was Pepsi. It was or
Yeah.
orange. It was like, can I get an orange Coke?
We'd go to
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel and they're like, "You want something to drink, sweetie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you have?" They're like, "We have Coke." And I'm like, "What kind?" They're like, "We've got Pepsi, we've got Coke." I'm like, "Yeah." When I say Coke to my husband, sometimes he like it's Coca-Cola to him. So, yeah, I like Coca-Cola.
right. Now I completely missed what I was going to say.
Sorry. That's the
No, it's
beauty
not
of
your fault.
me.
No, it's
I'm the best at rabbit trails.
no. It was worth it. It was 1,000% worth it to just kind of just be able to tell Fab that he's wrong.
Okay,
It was
quick
totally
quick
worth it.
question. I'm
Yeah.
gonna point this out. Can you
Oh,
guys tell I got braces today? Like, you can't it's just right here.
yeah. I couldn't tell earlier. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell.
So, you wanted to be more personal, and I told you a little bit about this. I have a really bad case of TMJ that has, like, flared up awful this year. If you ever see me, like, doing this, it's because 'cause I'm popping my jaw. There's, like, ridiculous pressure in my jaws, and so I got braces to try to help with that and a lovely night guard that I look so cool. And so if you see me kind of like messing with my mouth, forgive me. It's a little sensitive today. So,
I think you look fabulous.
well, the plan is to look fabulous in a couple weeks. So fingers crossed that it works. So, uh, you guys are probably gonna notice it in the next couple videos anyway. So you're gonna be like, something looks different about
Why
her.
is he calling me?
I think it keeps contaminants from contaminating her pads, which makes cutting harder. I would agree with that statement as far as for decon.
He couldn't help but be involved in this live stream, so he
Who's
had to be.
this?
You're on speakerphone.
I am so sorry. I just got caught up. I just got caught up cleaning, and Pam came home, and I'm eating some dinner. I just wanted to call and see how everything was going.
It's going great. Thanks for interrupting everything.
It's good. You should have been here.
Yeah.
It never happened.
Yeah, you should have been here. Is basically what Chelsea just said.
Gosh darn it! Hey, well, look, check this out. I just wanted to tell you guys are doing great. And, you guys look great. You guys sound great. You guys are doing great. So just keep it up, all right?
That's great. Thanks.
Aye.
If you guys need anything, you guys just let me know, okay?
Yeah, I need you to pound that like button.
Oh, I'm gonna pound it. If there's anybody in there that hasn't pounded that like button, you're gonna wake up with tacos on your car probably.
All right, goodbye. We're in the middle of something. I gotta go.
Okay, I love you.
I love you more. Bye.
Bye.
Oh God.
I didn't know that this was such a cult following with the Pepsi versus Coke thing.
Oh, it's a feud that Fab and I have been fighting for forever. As a matter of fact, I actually got him to admit on one of his live streams that he likes Coke better. And then he was like, "Oh, I said that by mistake. I didn't." Yeah, I'm like
Pepsi is sweeter in my mind, and it's like I don't know. Coke has more of a punch to it, and I like a good
I
good
feel
kick
like
to
it
my
doesn't.
drink.
It's kind of like it just doesn't have a distinctive flavor. It like you said, it's just it tastes of sweet, and that's it. But there's
And I
no
think it
real.
goes flatter faster.
I agree.
I think it goes, yeah.
And I don't know if you ever had to drink. I don't know if you ever had to drink diet, but diet Pepsi, I would rather slam my hand in a car door than drink diet Pepsi. Seriously, I honestly, that is god awful.
I'm not a fan of any like diet related sodas in general. I just feel like they're counterintuitive. Like,
Well,
wait,
some people have to because mom says I'm too husky, so I have to do.
but we'll die happy.
Right? Exactly. So
and caffeinated.
Yeah. Zero sugar.
Zero sugar. I don't know. What was that ad campaign that they had? They're like, "Don't take my word for it. I'm just a celebrity," And I was like, "That's brilliant marketing,"
Yeah.
Oh, I do love me some good Mountain Dew though. I will say, like, I can chug that stuff like no one's business. So, any other questions that you guys have?
Yeah.
Those are awesome questions. I think was there any more up here about detailing that we missed?
Maybe we
Someone
got
was
off the rails quickly.
Someone was asking you if you can use a clay bar in the Furies.
Yeah,
Will it break down the clay?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. I mean, I have not specifically tested it like over a long period of time, but it shouldn't. I know that the Hydra definitely has been tested for that, and it works beautifully as a clay lube.
Do you have to do a stronger dilution for that, or just standard 1-to-1?
Just standard. So in the education that I've gotten over the years from not just being in Phoenix, but in the old company, the rule of thumb was basically anything more than water it will make for a good clay lube, and so basically you just have to be careful of what's going to break down the clay. And there are like certain APCs and cleaners and things of that nature. They'll break down a clay bar pretty quickly. the way that the Furies is designed to go after ferrous metals, I don't think that you're going to have an issue with any kind of dissolving of the clay. Again, it hasn't been extensively tested, and I probably should do a better job of doing that. I'll go over.
I'm sure
to,
someone will test that now.
yeah, this weekend I'll go over to Jersey Auto Body. He's been a friend of mine since I was the ambulance supervisor for a healthcare system. We used to send him every broken ambulance that we had, we'd send his way. And so I developed a relationship with Jamie, and he's like, come over whenever, grab whatever panels you want. Whatever's available, whatever's out back, have at it. So I just got a text message from a random phone number that says, this is the Pepsi Corporation, and we would like to buy Phoenix E.O.D. products as long as you denounce Coke products live.
That seems pretty sus to me.
It does seem pretty sus, but I don't recognize the phone number. So Pepsi is better than Coke all day, every day.
What's the number? I'll Google it.
317. I shouldn't. No, I'm not kidding.
Dang it, we were so close.
That's not fair. The funny thing is I don't think I could. Man, what a Sophie's choice. The entire Pepsi Cola Corporation buying all of Phoenix products.
The fact that Pepsi's watching you.
All right, here's a question. Pepsi, if you're watching me, Pepsi, do I have to drink it? Because I'll be more than happy to just
put it.
Pepsi's better. Pepsi is the greatest soft drink that was ever created. I won't ever drink it, but it is the greatest soft drink of all time. So yeah.
Now someone's going to screenshot that, get that clip, and then they're going to be like, "He said it, folks. He said it."
It's fine. I'm a sellout. I don't care. now the distinguishing remark here is, would they buy the company or would they buy the products? So if they said if they would buy the company, I would say no. I'm not going to I would not sell out my company. But
that's funny.
If they said that they would, exclusively use Phoenix products on all of their trucks and cars and put Titan on their refrigerators and whatever, then the answer is yes. Pepsi all day, every day is the greatest. I'm not going to sell out the company, but I will sell out me. No problem. Anyway, so going back to the old school, what we were talking about, anything better than water will make for a good clay loop. So if you're just looking at the science, there's nothing in the Furies that would say to me that it would disintegrate or dissolve a clay bar. But I will.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, is Fury safe on plastic trim?
Yeah, it is.
Then it should be fine.
Yeah. But like you said,
most like someone made a comment that said tar remover will destroy a clay bar, claim it, because most tar removers, they're not going to recommend you put it on plastic trim because it could damage it.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine with plastic. So, but just to be sure, I will go over to Jersey Auto Body this weekend and grab a panel and abuse it with Furies and clay, just to be sure.
Just really work it in.
Yeah. And let it sit. The other idea is to just let it sit. You could squirt the clay bar down. I could do that right now. I could take
just go get a clay bar and soak it in the Furies and see if it dissolves it.
Mm. Yeah, I have that. So I'll just, after the live stream, I'll go out to the warehouse and drop it in, and then come back tomorrow and see what happened. Okay.
So there was a question earlier, Humberto. I don't know why you are so really passionate about me singing.
He's been talking about it for days.
So I sing. I have sung in the past at my church with worship. I sing all the time while I am detailing. Half the time, though, I do everything on my phone. I have an iPhone 14, and if I'm recording, I can't listen to music, so I have like a big Amazon thing in my garage that I just jam out. And Singing keeps me focused and singing keeps me motivated. So I just jam out. But what's annoying is that when you have YouTube videos and you sing other people's music, they take away your monetization claim because of a copyright claim. And so I don't always put singing in videos. Plus, I'm not super confident in it, but I enjoy it. Every now and then, I will actually put in a singing clip for you, Humberto, even though I know I'm not going to get any monetization on the video because I know you enjoy it. So, but honestly, what makes me sing is just, I love it. I've always sung. My sister and I always used to sing together. We sing really well together. And we're just starting to go to a new church that I'm going to get involved in the worship there. So I'm really excited for that opportunity because I miss it. It's really, I love worshiping. Someone else had a question. Not to put you on the spot, but what's been your best coding to use to date for ease of use and longevity? Can you guess? That's what I want to know. Can you guess?
Where was that question?
Someone asked earlier, Miller Detailing. Chelsea, not to put you on the spot, but what's been your best coding to use for date for ease of use and longevity? Let's see. I'm just it's I really do enjoy the McKee's 37, their graphene coating. I have found that to be one of the easiest coatings to work with. I tested it on my test panel and it was extremely durable. I have a fantastic relationship with McKee's 37. And I get a really great I hear an echo.
Sorry, no, that was me.
I was like, what are you doing? Why are you listening to me?
Somebody wanted the link to this live stream, and
Oh, okay. But yeah, I have a really great relationship with them. And so I do actually get their products a little bit cheaper because I get kind of a percentage off. And so that's great motivation for me to be able to afford their products. But I can actually coat an entire vehicle with that coating for like $30-$40, which is very affordable. But I have the Graphene Pro Coat 2.0 on my husband's truck. Been really happy with that. But the original graphene coating has been one of the easiest ones. I am very lazy when it comes to coatings. I am not a big fan of grabby products or products that are thicker or a little difficult to work with sometimes, because by the time I've done all of the prep work and polishing, I'm tired. I am almost 40 years old and I don't have a lot of time or a lot of energy to fight coatings. I worked with one the other day. It was the Koshemi, their what was it? Their new coating that they have just come out, and it was grabby as all get out. And I actually called Brian from Koshemi and I was like, this coating hates me. I was like, it's so thick. It's being grabby as all get out. And I was like, I'm just not a fan of this. And I find that I gravitate towards more of the polysilazane coatings that are a little bit more user friendly. Sometimes you don't have as much thickness or actual like thickness added to the ceramic coat. I know like your Kronos, it was a thicker product to work with, and it actually adds like thickness to the clear coat.
yeah.
And you have a lot of chemical resistance and durability with that. But sometimes like the extra energy that is put into those grabbier coatings sometimes is for this old lady, it gets a little exhausting after a while.
Let me ask. Can I ask you? I'm going to put you on the spot if you don't mind.
No, that's what we're here for.
There are two camps when it comes to graphene, and
you're going there.
Yeah, I'm totally going there. I'm totally going there. I definitely putting you, like I said, on the spot. So have you like between the product that you just named? You named had graphene in it. I don't know if they make a version without the graphene.
They do.
It's
just their ceramic coating.
Do you notice a difference between the two? A significant difference?
Yeah, their ceramic coating. It's like a 3-year product. It is a little grabbier to work with. There's nowhere near as much like dwell time before you have to level it.
Right.
It's a lot faster. It's not as user friendly. And I saw about 1.5 to 2 years out of that product. Like I had it on a customer's vehicle around 18 months. I was starting to see that it was at the end of its life. on certain spots. The graphene, though, it's not as thick. It's more of a rainbowing product. Even their 3-year coat, it was kind of funny because one time I grabbed the wrong bottle. I was supposed to be putting the graphene on, and I'm like putting it on a couple panels, and I'm like, why is this being so difficult? Like, it's hazing up versus rainbowing. It's grabby. It's not smooth. Like, and I'm messaging Nick, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Was this a bad batch? Like, what is going on? What am I doing wrong? We're trying to troubleshoot, go through every possible scenario. And by the time it was all said and done, I just looked back and I was like, oh crap, it was the wrong bottle of coating that I'd grabbed. So that made a big difference. But yeah, the graphene, I can tell a difference in application from their original strength. I do think the formulas are different. I don't think they took their ceramic and just added graphene oxide resin to it. I think it's a completely different formula.
No, I agree. I think that a lot of companies out there just put pencil shavings in there and they call it graphene.
This was the first one that there's no like shavings. It's not like grayish. Like I've actually like ethos graphene. It literally, like, you had to shake it and there was like gray solid matter that as I'm like putting it on the applicator, I'm like, do I like break it down and dissolve it? Like, what is this? Is it going to scratch the car as I'm putting this on? Like, do I have to like kind of like move it out of the way? So I wasn't a fan of that. This was the first graphene coating that there wasn't that. And so for me, I was like, well, that's a bonus point because I don't have to worry about scratching this paint that I just spent hours polishing.
Right.
And I mean, people might think I'm crazy. I'm not seeing many people really in the YouTube world talking about graphene coatings as far as the benefits. A lot of people within the industry think that it's just a bunch of malarkey and hocus pocus. I do believe that the beads are taller. I do believe that it can give you reduced risk of water spotting because of that fact, because you got taller beads, less contact angle or greater contact angle. The water beads can kind of fall off the vehicle with less effort. I've had graphene on both of my vehicles, and prior to coating them with graphene, they had a normal ceramic coating on them, and the normal ceramic coatings, we had awful issues with water spotting. I haven't had that with graphene coatings. So my personal experience is that I've seen the benefits of reduced water spot issues. I feel like I can tell a difference with the taller beads. I've seen enough beads in my lifetime to kind of know what is a little bit of a taller bead. It's not like I have a ruler out there that
Sure.
but visually, I believe that they do have taller beads, bigger beads versus a lot of really microscopic, small, tiny beads. That's where you get the water spotting issues. I do think that there is chemical resistance within it. So I see the benefits just from study and observation. I'm not a chemist. I'm not an engineer. There are some within that industry that have said there's really no benefit or they haven't been able to master the science to it. But as far as observation wise, I believe that the distinguishing factors that they say about it are there. And that's actually a really good video that I'm gonna have that conversation with Nick. I'm going to ask him about his graphene coating, and I want him to explain it in like vernacular terms. Like, why is this graphene so great? And even like they claim with the Graphene Pro Coat 2.0 that it's a lifetime coating. What do you mean by lifetime? I need to know, like, what is your definition of lifetime and how do you get those kind of results? Because a lot of people are going to say that's crap. That can't ever happen. I want to know, like, from the manufacturer's viewpoint, like when you say a coating is going to last X amount of years, like, how do you get that? And is it even attainable? Because I feel like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors sometimes that go in the detailing industry with some of these claims. So I want to be true and authentic with that. But I don't feel like any product really, when a customer or a company says X amount of years, no product really lives up to those claims. If you can like cut it in half, I'd be happy in the environment that I live in up north.
Well, I know there was one company that was really promoting that, and I have to be very careful that I don't get sued.
Borafine, that's what you're talking about, Nacho Man.
So yeah, there was one company that was promoting that lifetime guarantee, but then if you read the fine print, So basically, it was like their 5 or 7 year coating that you applied, 5 times. So right out of the
Well, and
gate,
then and
that
it had
right
a
out of the gate,
warranty.
that's a problem for me because you get to a tipping point where it starts to become counterproductive as far as shine and gloss and all of that other stuff is concerned. But then in order to basically to honor that warranty, they wanted a video of the installation. They wanted a video of the maintenance that was done on it and how it was kept and all of that stuff. And um there was such a process on honoring the warranty that it was, again, that's just not who we are. That's not Phoenix. And I
Mhm,
just making people jump through hoops, and making, there's a TV show out there called Nathan For You. And if you've ever watched it, it's hysterical. It's hysterical. Basically, it's this guy. He tries to help out businesses, and some of the ideas that he comes up with to help small businesses are just so bonkers.
mhm,
But like, they wanted to warranty, I think it was a rebate for gas. You could get gas for like 15 cents a gallon. But in order to get the rebate, you had to jump through all of these stupid,
mhm,
crazy hoops, and it was so unattainable that you could
mhm,
never get the rebate.
mhm.
And I feel like a lot of those companies do stuff like that to make it just so, oh, well, you didn't follow this to the letter of the law, so we're not going to honor your warranty. And
Yeah.
therefore it didn't last a lifetime. It lasted 7 months or 6 months or whatever. 6
Yeah,
years.
one of the more popular ones within the industry, and most people, you don't even have to like type it down below. Most people know what I'm talking about, but they might have a 10-year coating or whatever, but the warranty is that you can't take it through the automatic car wash. If you do once, it's voided. And then every year to maintain that warranty, you have to bring it back every year, and they're just reapplying a 1-year coating.
Right.
So is it the chicken or the egg? And does it really matter if it's protecting customer, but it's not really authentic claims? It's not the product, it's the services that you're offering. You're offering them that specific product is not a 10-year coating. You're just offering them a 10-year protective coating on their vehicle,
Sure.
but they don't distinguish that, and a lot of people think, oh, it has to be 10 year. Like, for instance, the Graphene Pro Coat 2.0. I did ask Nick about that question, and he basically said, "Well, we're also going to assume that you're going to be using our products, the Graphene Auto Wash, the hydrographene ceramic coating to maintain the coating with." Hydrographene ceramic coating is a fantastic spray-on rinse-off product by itself, that can last 4 to 6 months. If you're using that to maintain, you're going to have protection. You're going to have hydrophobics, So again, it's the chicken or the egg, but does it matter as long as your vehicle is protected and coated? But I think for those that don't use those products, they're not going to see that durability. And then they're going to be upset because it didn't last 10 years. Well, that's because you didn't use the manufacturer's recommended product. So, um, I kind of wish that there would be a little bit more transparency with those specific things, but what I can appreciate about like companies like McKee's 37, that they make it known. Like if you go to their website and read the recommended, like that, they don't hide that. But some people don't want to use those products to maintain it with. Just know you're not going to get the results that they're claiming you're going to get, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
that's at least what I wanna be a part of, is at least giving clear expectations to people because, let's say I sell a customer a coating and they go online and do some research and they see that it's supposed to last 10 years and they come back to me in 3 years and they haven't washed their vehicle but once or twice a year, gone through
Sure.
the automatic car wash. Why did it die? Well, you
Yeah.
didn't maintain it properly, you know?
And
So,
that, again, we're probably preaching to the choir at this point to the people that are in the chat rooms. But
that's true.
hopefully, we get a stray person that comes along and watches it. Um, the idea behind maintaining it, if you want to talk about the science behind it, if I always reference the Grand Canyon. Um, Water is a universal solvent, and it will, given enough time, it will dissolve everything and anything. Rock, iron, you name it, water will dissolve it. And again, I point to the Grand Canyon. That being said, water also goes to the path of least resistance. And so when you're looking at a vehicle, You're looking at all those different ridge lines, and could even be so much as vinyl or decal. Wherever you're going to get resistance, you're going to get a path of least resistance, and water will travel along those lines, and they will cut faster along those lines than they will anywhere else on the surface. That being said, so when you are doing a maintenance spray, or you have Kronos is a 7-year coating, and you're supposed to do a maintenance to that every 6 months. It's so that the whole thing wears down evenly, even in those uh, those ridge lines. Because if you have this fail first, the whole thing will fail that much faster. But if you maintain the surface all around, it will uniformly wear away evenly. And so that's the importance of maintenance. People are like, well, it's supposed to be a 7 years and it didn't last. And, and it's like, well, what did you do to help it, help it last the lifespan? But also at the same time, Phil pointed out, ceramics are very porous. And so therefore they will, they will collect debris a lot faster than say your clear coat and whatnot. And once that debris gets in there, it'll appear like your ceramic coat has failed, even if it's not. So those impurities, and you can see it. I've watched it on on a bunch of different testing that we've done. Again, going back to Brian's PPF, when there's like if there's an impurity on the surface and he's putting down the PPF, you'll see it kind of like create almost like a circus tent.
Pin.
Yeah, where that is, and then they have to pierce it and pull it out and then do what they do to it. It's pretty cool. But it's the same thing that happens with ceramic coatings, and that's the importance of a decontamination. You can see a ceramic coating bounce immediately back, giving it a good decontamination. If it hasn't failed, but it looks like it's failed, it could be something as simple as it just needs to be deconned. So I don't know.
Being knowledgeable in the chemical side of things, let me ask you a question. If you're putting a coating down in your towel's lint, does that damage the coating?
Your towel's lint?
I'm saying if you have a towel that has lint, that as you're wiping the coating off, if there's lint left behind, like how paranoid do we need to be?
I would say you need to be pretty paranoid about that. Not just because of it's not necessarily damaging the ceramic coating, but it's going to stick in that and it's going to look terrible.
But what if let's say I had a towel that had lint, and the next day after things have kind of cured and super things, like the lint comes off like super easy. Like it's not in the coating. It was just kind of like on the surface. Does that damage the coating, potentially weaken it, or is it not that big of a? I mean, people hate lint on their towels. Period. I get it. I just wonder, like, if we panic so much, because I see people all the time throwing away towels after one use, and I'm like, that feels so extremely wasteful and expensive to just dispose of them after one time, when we're spending anywhere from $2 to $5 on a towel and sometimes going through 12 for coating. As someone who made it, I'm curious.
That's an interesting question, because I've never done that.
You're like, I don't do lint.
Well, and for sure, like, and I mean that, like, I'm not trying to be like
a lint snob,
or I'm not trying to be arrogant about it, but so when the old company first came on the scene with ceramic coatings, I don't know, it was what, 7 years ago, I forget when we started dabbling in ceramic coatings. We went out to SEMA and we met with one of the original members of B&B Blending, and his name was I want to say his name was Roman. He was one of the founding fathers of B&B back when it was pure and wonderful and lovely. And he specifically said, when you're dealing with ceramic coatings, use a window towel. Use like one of those the Huck towels, Those are, the surgical towels that you can get refurbished. He said his favorite, by the way, was the waffle towels.
I remember you saying that with Immortal or Chronos, that you said that you use a waffle weave towel.
Yep.
Wouldn't that,
you want me to show
couldn't that
you?
potentially leave like an uneven finish because of the kind of ridges with it?
Not really, because of the way that you're taking it off. So you're doing you're applying it in a crosshatch and you're taking it off in a in a crosshatch. And then once you've leveled it, then you're going to buff it to a shine with you can use any kind of towel that you want. But I have it on good authority that the lint will not damage you, but you don't want it on a coating that is wet and curing. So you are describing remove it gently with clean towels. All right. So if you get lint on there, you can very easily take it off with a cleaner towel. But those huck towels, the surgical huck towels, the blue ones, and they're real coarse. They don't have any lint on them at all. That's what they were designed for, is to be lint free. But if you're
I feel like that's not very, very accurate, because I have a bunch of them, because I bought them to try them on glass and I still get lint. So
really,
oh yeah. So because I think I have tried so many different glass towels. The only ones that I have found, honestly, that don't lint for me, I went to a tint shop here in Lancaster. We got my husband's vehicles tinted.
Sure.
Or his glass tinted. And I was like, how do you guys get like streak-free perfect glass? And he's like, honestly, and he showed me the link. It was like a cheap Amazon Basics microfiber. But he said, I use a fresh towel for my final touch.
This is what I use. Hold on real quick. I'll be right back.
I'll just keep talking. Okay. But you literally use a fresh towel for his final wipe for glass and no lint whatsoever. Okay, there were some questions here. I'm going to go back and answer them while he is gone, because I saw Mark Kelly. You said, I agree, Chelsea. So why not do a decon and light polish and apply a 1-year coating each year? I think that's great, but you may not always know if the customer is going to come back. So, and sometimes that 1-year product is not going to be very chemically durable. So sometimes I like to do something that's a little bit more durable. So those are the Pearl towels from Autoality. I've purchased them. But I do know Extreme Solutions used to sell them as well, because I got a couple from you guys.
Yeah.
But Detailed Image has Autoality. They're called the Pearl. They are a good one. They are a good one. Yes, they can lint. They do lint after a while, though. They do.
It's not a true waffle towel because it doesn't have those deep pockets. It's more of like almost like a crosshatch. But I think it works if very effectively on coatings.
Is that sad that I knew exactly the name of the microfiber?
No.
What is my world coming
because
to?
like you don't give yourself nearly as much credit as I
I'm
always
like, that's
have.
the Pearl, and it's sold on Autoality, and it's
so much.
$3.49.
You really are an encyclopedia of the detail world.
I know a lot of nothing. I feel like the knowledge that I have, most people in my life are like, I don't care about that. Someone was saying there's a new thing coming called Bertone or something like that. Nacho Man. That's actually Borafine. I believe that is the new
catchword, and it's trash. It is a buzzword, and it's trash.
Yeah. So I had someone reach out to me for Borafine coatings, and I had a lot of friends within this industry that were like, avoid.
Yeah.
So I will take my mentor's word for it.
Yeah.
I'm just going through some of the questions that people were asking prior. So, yes, Papa Smurf, a 2-year good coating can fail in 6 months when neglecting. Yes, I've seen it many times. Dealer applied glass coat and Xylon do not require regular maintenance. I'm going to take your word for that, Keith, because I haven't seen too many dealership coatings that really are any good. I actually had a customer that I did a video on this, but he went to Toyota, purchased a brand new vehicle, purchased the ceramic coating warranty, put it on, brought it to me like 6 months later. There was absolutely nothing on his vehicle. I actually went back to the dealership to say, hey, there's nothing on my car. And they're like, yeah, you just got a warranty. We didn't put anything on your vehicle. So sometimes you may not even be getting something on your vehicle. You're just buying a warranty. And then if you were to have someone like me polish and coat it, it voids the warranty. So you're SOL. So dealership things I just don't believe in, period. Fab said, I don't think we should put a time frame on coatings. I honestly have like really like battled with shifting to that here at my business. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of customers, it's just ingrained in their head. Like, I want X year coating because a lot of the big name shops out here will have kind of their tiered packages. And so they just kind of are similarly looking for stuff. And honestly, I have found that it's good to have a couple different price points for customers. Like I'll have a 12-month, and that to me, I will say this is a great entry level coating. I don't even necessarily say 12 months. I just say we have an entry level coating just to kind of see if you like a ceramic coating, if you can maintain it properly. If you want something a little bit more durable, we have kind of this economical, like the everyday option. And then if you want something that's going to last you a little bit longer, if you're going to be going through the automatic car wash and we need something with a little bit more chemical resistance, then this is the option for you. Because let's face it, every customer is going to go through the car wash.
I think that a lot of a really good way. This is something that we toyed around with when I was at the old place. If you can build the maintenance package into your initial price. So let's just say, you charge $800, $1,000, $1,200, whatever, for whatever ceramic coating that you're putting in. Build the maintenance into it. So you can say, hey, this is going to cost you $1,000, but in 6 months, I want you to come back and I will apply the maintenance, for free. And you build that price into your whatever you're charging your customer. But the idea behind the detailer, whether you're mobile or in home or shop, whatever, is to get that returning customer. So you build that into your price so that they return in 6 months, and then while they're there, you go, hey, while I have your car for $70 or $80 or whatever you want to do, I'll do a quick interior. And so you get that returning customer, and then you can kind of upsell them with the next, with that interior fee. And that's a good way for, people that are just starting out to get that returning customer. I've already paid for the 6-month maintenance, so I'm going to come back to this guy. I'm going to go ahead and schedule it now that, it's April now. So in September, I'll be back for the maintenance. And then when they come back in September, you go, hey, for a minimal upcharge, I'll do a quick interior for you while you're here. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes.
Yeah. And I mean, that model can work fantastic. Certain people, I know my customers, I see them probably every 6 months or so on average. So I have a lot of just repeat customers, and then I get a lot of new in between. So the more I get new customers, the less I have availability for kind of maintenance and stuff like that. I know a lot of detailers make their bread and butter on maintenance customers, and I honestly
do you ever farm it out to other, like, do you have a farm league?
No, I don't. I don't have any. A lot of the detailers or the detailing shops near me are very high end. And then there's a couple that are like really rough, that I don't know if I would trust them necessarily with the same quality of work that I would want to put my name kind of parallel to it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of what it is. I haven't networked that much extensively. I just know that the shops closest to me are, their ceramic coatings probably start at 1,500. So, and as far as interiors and stuff like that, I feel like I am on par with them. So either they would come to me or go to them. So, so we were talking about ceramic coating towels earlier.
Sure.
And a lot, I made the comment that a lot of people are throwing them out, and I reuse mine. I reuse mine several times, and I may deal with lint. That's why I was asking you that question, because sometimes I know when they start to lint, they've broken down and it's time to get rid of them. But
Yeah, but then they
I,
become. I use them as shop rags. If if they get to
I
if they degrade to the point where they're starting to fall apart on me, they become shop rags.
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, Fab made the comment they will harden and scratch the surface. Like I soak mine in a large bucket of APC, probably like a day, like a
yep,
long time,
yep.
and then I launder. I've started to sort my towels. I will wash all my class towels together because I want to try to keep as much residue off of them as possible. I wash my wash mitts, my drying towels kind of in one bulk sum, and I know that, like, let's say drying towels, they start to lose their absorbency. I add white vinegar to them to try to help give more absorbency, and then I wash with either PNS Rags to Riches or Auto Fiber actually makes the Micro Restore. I will launder with them. So I wash those separate. Like my interior towels I wash separately, but my like exterior polish removal ceramic coating towels I will soak in the APC and then wash like normal, dry on low. I inspect them. They are soft, they are plush, there is no hard materials on them. Um, the only time that I will like throw out something is a coating applicator because they do get harder, but there's two sides to a coating applicator,
Well,
so
mine
I will
have four
reuse it.
sides.
What's that?
I said mine have four sides. They're
Yeah,
they're cubed. But at the same time, like if you're building that into the price,
I get that. I
my friend
totally
Ryan,
get that.
he says as soon as I'm
Hmm.
done with the ceramic applicator, I just chuck it. It costs me $2 and in a $1,000 ceramic coating. That's a
Yeah.
drop in the bucket.
For me, I married a man who is extremely conscientious about recycling, about how much waste we are putting into this world. Like his parents protested for landfills in this area. Like he's passionate about reusing things as much as possible. And I get it, there's common sense, and I'm not going to do anything that like potentially would damage a vehicle or all of the coating, but I have never actually seen any of my applicators or my towels scratch a vehicle. And I mean, I've dialed in paint and, applied a coating, leveled it, and the paint was still pristine. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes um we're like really overly heightened to some of those areas with that I just wonder how much waste. Like there are literally detailers who have said that they throw away trash bags on a monthly basis of towels, and I'm like, that's a lot of money and a lot of waste that I don't know. I just feel like we should be a little conscientious about what our products, what our detailing products, even the biological leftovers from them. I try to be mindful to that because we're putting a lot of these chemicals into the ground, and it only takes 26 seconds of a chemical to be on your skin for it to be absorbed into your bloodstream. um, I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of things that are going in me and things that are like being left on this world. I'm not saying I drank the Kool-Aid completely, but I try to be careful about
No,
this.
I understand that, and that's I mean definitely that has to be on your mind. Again, we go back to walking that fine line between what we were talking about before.
Plus, I'm working on
How
like
do you,
Lexuses and like everyday vehicles that most customers didn't even see swirls to begin with.
right?
Uh, you know, we're not working on like, I mean, if you are working on, we're talking like high end cars, like show cars, there's a whole different level of detailing in that world than I feel like kind of the world that I'm in with more daily drivers and things like that. I feel like I'm
Sure.
the everyman's detailer,
Well, and
every woman's detailer.
exactly, and I mean, Humberto here makes an excellent point. At the end of the day, you need to inspect it. Like there is no cookie cutter solution, and you do have to have excuse me, you do have to have a little bit of responsibility in what you're doing. And so inspect it and check it out, and if it's passable, use it. If it's not, you're going to have to move on.
Someone asked getting repeat maintenance customers. I honest Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I turned off my mic because I was coughing.
Um I I think it's all about just establishing those relationships and just being I really strive on educating my customers not only on the importance of what I do, but how to get the best out of their vehicles. And I take those time to ask questions, get to know them. And I think when you establish that relationship with them beyond just here, I'm here to clean your car, it makes them excited to come back to you. Like I've had some customers with me for 6+ years. And honestly, like those customers, yeah, I may throw in a little bit extra as my way of being thankful for their business as to kind of like entice them. But I mean, they're always tipping, they're always giving me more and referring me to other people. And I think it really just comes down to if you're a good um, business leader and you're really great with your customers, it goes a long way to just be approachable and be the type of business owner that you would want to interact with.
100%.
So yeah, that's how I feel like I've been able to and just I had one of my reps for a company that I was with said, just as simple as like making them like the most important thing to you in that moment. Like you have meant the world to them with being able to transform their vehicle, and now they mean the world to you with a future referral. And so just, treating them with kind of that mindset that they mean something to you. And treating them with respect. I'm not saying kiss butt, but value that they can give you a good word of mouth and a referral online. So, and ask for it. Ask for the freaking referral.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
And the reviews. Ask for the reviews, the comments, and
Mhm.
and the stars and all that stuff. Chelsea, I couldn't agree with you more. As a fledgling company, we make a lot of mistakes, especially in the beginning. Mark, to further the question, communication is huge. And again, there's no room for ego and there's no room for arrogance. And um, uh, even when you make a mistake, I think there is a human bond between us all. And if you just come right out and say, "Hey, I made a mistake. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to correct that mistake." And you're we're going to make it right. I think that's kind of been our guiding light as far as customer service is concerned.
Mhm.
If all things are equal, um, product wise is concerned or detailers are concerned, it's going to be your customer service that separates you from the herd, and that people can trust you and they know that you'll stand by your work and you'll stand by your product. It goes a long way. It goes an awful long way to build, not just a customer, but a loyal client.
Mhm.
So I couldn't agree with you more, Chelsea. I think you're spot on with that, and that's the best way to do it. Is just be human, and
Mhm.
and and you know they have uh, they have thoughts, they have fears, they have concerns, and you have those exact same things, and it's your job to talk about it and to put their mind at ease. And there are always going to be a difficult customer. There's going to be someone that wants to take advantage of that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of worth it to fall on the sword, to make that one person happy if it's possible. Some people you can't make happy, but you're going to do the best that you can to do it. And at that
Mhm.
point you go, look, I have done everything that I possibly can do to make you happy. uh, I'm sorry that you're not happy with the results or whatever it is, but you got to do your best to do it. And I think in this industry, be it making chemicals or being a detailer, customer service is going to separate you from the rest.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I feel like everyone's checking out.
yeah, I think we're about done. We hit the 2 hours and 30 minute stage. Chelsea, you have been
I'm getting like puffy.
more than gracious with your time. I told you that I didn't want to run
Oh.
too long. I thank you so much for doing this. I love talking to you. I love going out and seeing you. I
You're the
appreciate.
only salesperson I ever invited to come and sit on my couch and like have a heart to heart with. So I
That was
cherish your friendship. I cherish your friendship.
that was a good day for me in
That
a
was
lot
a
of
good
ways.
day for me too.
Just as far as faith is concerned, it was a much needed conversational hug. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
And
do.
anytime you want to have those conversations, you know I'm here.
Absolutely. So, everybody, thank you so much for coming out and watching, for supporting Chelsea and supporting me. Just never hesitate to reach out to either one of us. Both of us believe in sharing as much knowledge as possible because we are all in this together. So, on behalf of
All in this together.
you're welcome, Humberto.
Yeah, there you go.
So, on behalf of Phoenix and the Phoenix family, Chelsea, thank you so very much. And we'll
Thank you.
catch up to you guys later. Have a good
Thanks,
night, everyone.
everyone. Have a good night.